All right, so there we are. So, see, we have a comment from Chris. This film says a lot about Hollywood.
Yeah, I just finished it maybe 20 minutes ago. So it
Yeah,
is very fresh.
I just wrapped it up and I finally remembered, hey, write down some talking points because I'm always like, uh, this scene, that scene. Oh yeah, I remembered this.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
But yeah, I don't really consider it a Hollywood film. I think this is more just kind of like one of those big budget independent pictures, but I could be.
Mm-hmm. I took it as, you know what? I, I took it as very self-aware, fun, I wouldn't say monster movie, but it knew it knew what it was and it ran with it. And I think that definitely helped the tone of it and
Mhm.
help a viewer enjoy it a lot more. You know what I mean? Because it is based on a true story,
Yeah.
but that's just the bear ingesting the cocaine part. Everything else is all pure fiction, and
Yeah.
that means there's no handcuffs. You know what I mean? And that's what I thought made it so much fun.
Yeah, they had a lot of fun with it. I remember being shown the trailer for this and immediately I said, "Yeah, this looks like something I would watch." And they're like, "Yeah, that's why I showed it to you."
Hmm. Yeah, I when I first saw it, I didn't know what to think. To be honest, like I love my fair share of air quotes bad movies.
Yeah.
So this could either be a lot of fun or it could be really a rough watch. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I think honestly, if you go in with a little bit of low expectations, this is just me talking for myself, you'll end up having a fun time because it's not just about a bear killing people. You know what I mean? A
Mhm.
lot of these characters are a lot of fun, and that helped keep me in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, especially that running gag. I didn't catch the guy's name, but his clothes, his shoes, they're always getting messed up throughout the entire movie.
Yep. You know something's up when a character is wearing all white in a movie where people are going to be mauled.
Yeah.
So I mean, he has a white jersey on. He's got white sneakers, and it's a fun joke because it's O'Shea Jackson Jr. and he's got his dad's comedic timing, just like his facial expressions and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun to watch him do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the equivalent of like the girl in the white dress in a slasher movie, and it's like, let's see how dirty she gets by the end.
Exactly. And by the end, she's covered in mud and rain and stuff like that.
Oh, we have Slipknot asking, is that a Jason Goes to Hell shirt? Underrated movie.
Yes, it is. Good eye. That is my favorite one of the franchise because it's so much fun, in my opinion.
But yeah, I actually enjoyed the movie the second watch than I did the first one. I think my issue is I generally like to blind watch movies, and since I
Mm-hmm.
had shown the trailer, I went in expecting it to be like this explosive, crazy, fun movie, and it was. It's just I was expecting a lot more bang,
Mm-hmm.
something very pulpy, and then I watched it, and it's kind of like, where's all the funny stuff? And it's like the trailer took all of that.
And that's how I was too, because the first time I watched it, like I went with low expectations and I was pretty disappointed. I was not a big fan, but after that second rewatch, knowing what I was getting into and what was, presented, I had a lot of fun. I knew it wasn't going to be, boom, boom, boom in your face type of stuff
Yeah,
because it's got a little bit of a slow buildup. We got to meet the characters and
yeah.
what they're doing, this and that, because it's more than just the bear. And the second watch was a lot more fun. It's such a much better experience.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more, especially because I had seen it before. So I'm like, okay, I already know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, that's why I say I like to blind watch stuff. That I was still stuck on Carrie Russell. It's kind of like you're too momish. I'm like, where's Felicity?
Yeah, yeah. My wife watched Felicity when she was younger, and I never did. But it was weird because that's all I know her from. You know what I mean? She did
Yeah,
a couple Disney movies. She was in one of the new Star Wars movies, but she was in it wearing a helmet, so you didn't really get to see her.
yeah,
It was kind of cool seeing her being this mom character because she's known for like the teen stuff. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
And I liked a lot of her interaction with the children. Like I love the scene where they're going towards the cave to find her daughter,
Uh-huh.
and what they think is blood on the rock is really paint.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the little boy is disgusted because she wipes it on him, and it's paint. How do you know? I'm a nurse. Duh. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That the little interaction stuff was fun. Or when
Yeah,
he
he didn't really. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
oh, it's all right. It was like when he was also asking, because the kids do some of the cocaine. He's asking, would would parents be mad if they did drugs? And she said, oh yeah, don't ever do it. But what if they want to stop? Well, that's good. Will they ever find out? Oh, we always find out. That type of little interaction was really good with her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I had caught it. No, I think I missed it earlier when they mentioned Kerry Russell was a nurse. Like I know they mentioned you wanted to pick up extra shifts to work with what's his name.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't remember if they mentioned she was a nurse. So when they mentioned, well, that's how I know it's paint, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very brief. It was like during the scene where she's kind of arguing with her daughter in the bedroom, and you get to see her. You blink and you miss it. She's wearing scrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then just really quick, we have Slipknot saying, I like all of the new lore added to Jason Goes to Hell.
Love it. That is again, that's another fun horror movie. A lot of people dislike it, but you know what? Yeah, it is what it is. You like what you like.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I love that ending where Freddy's glove comes up and snatches the mask.
I know that was really cool. I wish I was too young. I wish I would have seen that in a theater, because that would have been kind of like a fun live reaction with the crowd, I think.
Yeah, just watching everyone pop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been cool. Yeah, see, I want to say it was Kerry Russell, but I'm like, I liked her character better in Antlers. Like, she was still like the protective adult, but it's like, I just didn't like this mom character. I'm like, you may as well be, who is her name? Sheryl Crow. I'm like, you're just.
I haven't seen Antlers. I really want to. I heard it was good. I
Mhm.
mean, I get what you're saying. Anyone could have played this role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's true. You didn't. I mean, I'm not saying Kerry Russell is a big name, isn't a big name, but you could have gotten anyone to play this role. I thought she did pretty decent, though.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, she did well. I mean, she's a good actor, and truth be told, I'm not too familiar. Like, I don't follow her career other than
Mm-hmm.
Felicity. I don't really know what she's done unless she does horror stuff. I'm like, hey, you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw you somewhere. Where was it?
Yeah, yeah, but I don't really follow her. Which it's not a knock against her. It's just
Right.
whenever you pop up in a genre I actually watch, it's kind of like, I know you.
Yeah, it's real neat when it's people like you don't expect to be in a horror film show up.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised. Like the Pope's Exorcist, I'm like, hey, that's Russell Crowe. I'm like,
That's the main reason why I want to see that, because Russell Crowe in a horror movie, it's already sold on me. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, I know he picks good roles. He's a good actor, and I'm like, that's why I'm more interested in it. And I'm like, why
Mm-hmm.
did you choose this? I really want to watch it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Russell's very interesting, like with his choices. Like he goes from, all these dramatic things, Gladiator, and then Beautiful Mind, but then he'll pop up in like Man of Steel as Superman's dad and stuff like that. So it's really neat when well-established actors show up in like a random film.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, it shows versatility that I can
Mm-hmm.
appreciate. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that about it. But oh yeah, and then as far as sorry, I went blank there, even though I have my notes right in front of me. I know, silly. It's they're not in any particular order. I'll blame that on me.
That's all right.
I think we had discussed earlier the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack for this film.
It's so good. I mean, it brought me back to growing up. I was born in '81, so I heard all the songs. And I thought it was like the scene where the bear is chasing the ranger and the paramedics to Depeche Mode, Just Can't Get Enough.
Hmm.
It made a scary scene much more fun. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And it's a long scene. It's a good maybe 3 minutes chase, and the song just fit perfectly in between. Because there's some laughs in there with the ranger trying to shoot the bear while she's tied down to the stretcher and stuff like that.
Yes, I love
And
that scene. Sorry.
no, that's okay. And it's got a lot of holy shit moments. You know what I mean? When she's pushed out of the ambulance, but she's still on the stretcher and she's scraping across the pavement, and then you got the driver going through the windshield to this fun, happy song. I love how it does fit, but you wouldn't expect this type of song during that type of a moment. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what makes it so fun. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a lighthearted comedy. You can tell it doesn't take itself seriously. And I love the craziness of that scene. This is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Like you have this
Mm-hmm.
jaunty song, and then I love that subtle comedy. Like the guy up front gets his wrist broken, and I'm like, I know what you're implying there.
Yeah. Jeez. Oh man. It's a movie that's you don't expect it to be so smart. You know what I mean? Because it's called Cocaine Bear. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're not going to like. I always say it like this. You know what I mean? With these movies, it's like you go into it. It's called Cocaine Bear. You're going to have a certain mentality. It's like going into like Howard the Duck. You're not expecting Amadeus. You know what I mean? You know, you have to have that type of mind frame. But the thing is, a lot of this stuff is smarter than you think. A lot of these jokes are much more fun if you're paying attention.
Mhm.
The whole the whole subplot of Ray Liotta and his grandson get me laughing all the time. In the background, watch me, Grandpa. Oh, yeah, okay, kid, whatever. Or hearing him yell in the background on the telephone. That type of stuff is fun, but you gotta pay attention to it, and it makes you appreciate the writing because I think the jokes are really funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's very well written. Like the title alone, it's like you would expect this more to be like one of those low budget direct to video B flicks. And that's also what made me curious. It's like,
Exactly.
studio picked this up. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Directed by Elizabeth Banks of all people. She's a name too, so that was really cool seeing her direct something like this.
Hmm.
And again, you get some unknowns. You get some people that you knew of years ago, like Kerry Russell. You get
Yeah.
some people that are coming up in Hollywood, like O'Shea Jackson Jr. And then you get, of all people, to play a drug running mobster, Ray Liotta. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that was
Ray
cool.
Liotta didn't need to do Cocaine Bear, but he also knew that this would be a fun
Hmm.
job. You know what I mean? And you can tell he's having a blast. He's super self aware in
Yeah.
this, especially by the end scene when they're in the cave with the cubs.
Yeah. I mean, even though there's CG, I didn't like seeing the bears get kicked. I was like, man.
Yeah, and that again, that's what was great. Is this is a bear that is literally killing innocent people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But when you think about it, this bear is completely innocent in all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Especially by the end, when Ray is abusing it, when Ray is abusing the cubs, it's
Mhm.
just doing what it would naturally do, and
Yeah.
that helps you. I don't want to say associate with the animal, but you feel sympathy for it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's no different from bears like wandering into populated areas and mama bear teaches them like to dig out of trash cans and eat. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not on purpose. It's
Right.
just,
It's
yeah.
just instinct.
Hmm. Oh, and Slipknot was saying, yeah, he liked the ranger character the most.
She was a blast. I love when she first walks in to the. You got the one of the three punks. He's stealing and he's stealing candy and stuff like that. She's there with a cigarette. She just the way she stands there looking at him. She knows he's done something. But I like how she's kind of I wouldn't say flirting with him, but she's very aloof because she's also waiting for the other ranger to show up. Oh, is that perfume I smell? Oh yeah, you like it? It smells expensive. She's very sweet in these type of subtle scenes when she's trying to pick him up. You know what I mean? And that's what I think is a lot of fun. And then I think she does some pretty good physical comedy in this movie as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't really like that scene where she's introduced. I like that he's like,
Okay.
"Are you wearing makeup?"
Hmm.
And you can tell like, oh yeah, this is out of character for her. She's probably a lot more toned down and subtle, and then she
Mhm.
kind of seems embarrassed, like, yeah, I'm wearing this expensive perfume,
Mhm.
but she likes the compliment enough to where she gives the guy a lollipop, and he's like, I like green, you're taking red.
Yeah, that was fun. I like the green ones. Well, this is a red one.
Yeah. I mean, I liked that.
Mhm.
And just, I mean, I don't wish the character ill. I like her, but I can't help it that ambulance scene where she just goes splat on her face and she drags a little.
I know.
I mean, it's just the climax to this crazy scene. It's like I burst out laughing.
Mhm. Yeah, you have to let it go because it really is an intense scene because it starts off, with this great buildup. The ambulance is called because the punks, the kids
Yeah.
were beat up by O'Shea Jackson, and they're expecting a concussion, and they show up, and one person has already accidentally been shot in the head, and you got this one that's dismembered in the storage room, and then he's squashed by this giant black bear under a door,
Mhm.
while the other paramedics trying to help the ranger. So it's intense for a long period of time before they even get to the ambulance, and that's when the fun really starts to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, and it's like she accidentally shoots the guy in the head. I'm like, I wasn't expecting that. It's like, oh.
I know she's trying to shoot the bear, and it's a graphic scene. Like boom, his head
Yeah.
explodes, his body gets covered with all the gore, and it's great because the rest of the scene before the bear breaks, we get a hand through the window. It's a good 2-3 minutes of just them looking outside, and this poor kid is just covered just in red and chunks and stuff like that as he's trying to look out to make sure the bear's not coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this very tense scene, and then you just get like this. I don't. It's not a jump scare, but it's kind of like a pop laugh that you get at the end. Yeah, it's like they surprise you, but it's like so unexpected. It's more like you just laugh, and then
Mhm.
even this. I imagine it's CG, but like the detail on the gunshot wound, it's like it's believable.
Yeah, and it came out of nowhere. Like I did not expect that to happen. I did not expect her to fire at all. And then the fact that she hit him, and his head literally just like this big hole
Yeah,
shows up right in his forehead.
it's like when you accidentally hit a bird and it's just feathers and it
Yep,
disappears.
exactly. It was just like this pop.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Did you have like any favorite scenes in the film? I mean,
Well, honestly, I liked the ambulance scene that we're talking about, and I really thought it was funny when the little boy is already up the tree and they find him.
mhm.
And I like when the male ranger, I guess we'll call him, he they're looking around. He actually trips. Like you might not realize it the first time you watch it, but this I noticed it the second time. He trips and he falls into another pile of the cocaine bags. One is open, so he gets a little bit on him. He doesn't get high or anything,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
he brushes it off, and then he sees the bear coming. He climbs up a tree, and then you can put two and two together. It's
yeah,
chasing the little boy to begin with, but then it starts sniffing, and you wonder why. Like at the first time, I didn't put it together. Why it leaps from one tree to another? He's got the cocaine on him, so it's already been high a couple times, and it's chasing after him. And I love how it just mauls him, and he's just hanging there from the tree, upside down, and we have the blood pouring and stuff like this as Carrie Russell's trying to get the kid to safety.
yeah,
And I thought it was pretty funny because the little kid, he's 12 or something. Bears can't climb trees. Well, yes, they can. And then that adds to it. And you're like, oh, great, this shit's really gonna happen. And it was a lot of fun.
um, I mean, I like that, and I don't know if it's like an on purpose thing, but there's always this thing about the bear, like there's always a leg that gets thrown out.
Yes, because that's what happens to him. The first couple, like in the very beginning, which I thought was kind of funny. My daughter was huge into Frozen when it came off. The characters are Kristoff and Elsa. So again, if you got to notice that type of stuff, so the writing's real smart. But she is killed and her leg is thrown.
Mm.
He gets his, the guy in the tree, he gets his leg, detached, and that was a good. When he falls out of the tree, he literally lands on his head and then flops over. Yeah, there's a lot of dismembered legs, but the one time a person gets injured with the wrist, it stays attached. So I thought that was kind of fun too.
Well, that's why I was thinking. I'm like, are you implying something about this character because the way it flops forward? And I'm like, are you just saying this character's friends with Dorothy?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, there's a lot of good scenes. I like the scene where the one ranger, he's on top of the gazebo,
Mm-hmm.
and I like when there's a gun on the ground and he's telling O'Shea not to pick up the gun, and you don't think he's kind of a buffoon. When we first are introduced to him, he thinks he orders, I think, a German Shepherd to be adopted from a an animal shelter. He gets like this little Shih Tzu or something like that. He's always calling to make sure it's okay. So he seems like a lovable buffoon, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But he knows what he's doing, because when O'Shea is going to pick up the gun and he tells him not to, he shoots off like 3 of his fingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that made me really like that character and realize he's not as big of a dork, you know what I mean, as he's presented as. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy was pretty good. What was it? The guy had 2 fingers that weren't together, and he shoots both of them off. And it's
Yeah.
like, were you crossing your fingers and picking up the gun? It's like, how did you do that?
And it was a good practical effect too, because it looked pretty gross.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they weren't even the fingers that are right next to each other. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was yeah, and then the guy's like, "Well, can you at least pick them up for me?"
I got your fingers in my pocket.
Yeah, and then eventually that nice jersey he fussed over, it's like he just wraps it around his hand.
I know. He was so mad, like after because he gets stabbed by the 3 punks,
Yeah.
and he's just so mad, that I just bought this jersey, and you could tell he wants everything to be clean. And then, like we said again, by the end of it, he's everything he wants clean is just all messed up and nasty.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell he's very meticulous about his look. He likes to have a clean look. He likes to be
Yep.
presented a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, at least he takes pride in his appearance. But
Yeah.
and I'm
We,
like,
we,
yeah, that's a nice outfit he put together.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and we know by the end of the movie that it's all going to go to hell, and it did.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like, had he gone into it wearing a cap, who knows how that would have gotten torn up.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't have like a white baseball cap, or he was wearing like white pants or something like that. Because I'm surprised he wasn't more covered up in blood. The hell that guy was put through, being stabbed, fingers shot off. He gets shot by Ray Liotta at the end when they're in the cave. He has to go through the waterfall. He was put through a lot of hell, and it was pretty funny because even though he's a drug dealer,
Mhm.
he's still very likable. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
a likable, fun character. The only one even the bad characters, the only one that really isn't likable is Ray Liotta, and you're not supposed to like him.
Yeah. Yeah, he even complains about his grandson. It's kind of like, I'm over this. This kid's in my way. I raised my kids. It's like, I don't want to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
And the poor little kids, he's like, look at me, Grandpa.
And that's just how little kids are. Like he literally just falls back into like a ball pit, and the Ray Liotta just kind of rolls his eyes and gets back to talking. Yeah, he's very good at being this cranky old man. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like what you would imagine Ray Liotta's character from Goodfellas, had he been able to grow into an old man, what he would have been.
Exactly. I'm tired of this shit. Go watch your own kid. I got business to attend to.
Yeah. But I think by then, yeah, his wife would have left him.
Oh yeah, big time. Big time.
Let me see. Oh, the ranger lady was a bit likable but hilarious. Yeah, she was. She was fun. I think it's just more she was kind of stern, kind of like a bit of a hard ass.
She was, because like what was it when the kid was up the tree? He said a fucking bear attacked us, and she says, "Watch your language." You know what I mean? Yeah.
Kind of old fashioned, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that sensitive character in the group, he was kind of funny too, and he has this long conversation with that one guy, and I just remember the lizard talk.
That was hilarious. My favorite part is when we were introduced to him, and he's already drunk at the bar, and he's bad when he's being cut off by the bartender, and he's got this huge bowl of pasta in front of him just to soak up the alcohol. And when we're first introduced to him and O'Shea, I mean, he's sympathetic because we find out we think it's a breakup, but you find out that his his wife or girlfriend passed away from cancer, so it makes him more sympathetic. But the first time we see him, he pulls down his shirt, and he's got like a name tattoo on his heart, or on his heart, and it's supposed to say June or something like that. And I think he misspelled it. It says John.
Yeah.
So, oh, you could just get it changed. I gotta wait for a week for it to heal. So for a week, my heart belongs to John. You know, that type of thing.
At first, I had assumed that he got his own name tattooed on his chest, and then I'm
Mhm.
like, no, it's somebody else.
Yeah. And he's so depressed, and it's again the writing. You got to pay attention to like a lot of these lines, and like O'Shea. I'm just gonna call him O'Shea. I don't remember his character's name, but he feels so awkward. You know what I mean? He's he's this big tough guy, and he's sitting next to this guy all skinny and crying, and then he's just like, can I have some of that penne? You know, do they have sausage? No, it's just plain. You know, just that type of little funny interaction.
Yeah.
Or when they're driving along, and there's like I can't think of the song off the top of my head, when they're driving along, and this sad, depressing '80s song is playing, and the sensitive, Ray Liotta's son, he's just leaning up against the window crying, and he won't let them change the radio, type of thing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, there are a lot of subtleties. I mean, it's good character development. It's like no one's like, like, what would you say, like one-dimensional. They're not
Right.
there to be killed off and die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only ones there are really the three kids. I mean, you got the two that were killed by the bear and the gunshot. They're just there for to be bodies. But even the blonde one that they take with him, he's got a little bit to him too. He's not unlikable. I mean, he's air quotes, nothing special, but you don't want him to die, because he's just a punk kid. You know what I mean? He's not awful. He's just a punk kid. You don't necessarily want him to die because he's annoying or anything like that. And that's what I liked about these characters, is there isn't one that you really want to die, other than maybe Ray Liotta, because of just how he is.
Yeah, Cursed Crossroads was asking the sensitive character, do you mean the skinny blonde kid who bonds with Ray Liotta's son's character missing his dead wife?
Sensitive.
Yeah, the skinny blonde kid.
Yeah, I liked, and what I liked about, if you got to watch the mid credits, I like how he got away. It ends on a funny moment. He's walking, he hitchhikes. He's got the last duffel bag of cocaine. And it's a farmer truck full of goats and stuff like that. He puts the cocaine in the bedding, gets in, and then suddenly they drive away, and it stops. He gets back out. He's not trusting them fucking goats. You know what I mean? He grabs the cocaine bag and he puts it in the front seat with him, because he's not taking any chances. Those are little subtle jokes that I think are really funny and smart, and that help the tone of this film.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of subtleties. This reminded me randomly, just that Hallmark moment with the lizard. He's like, yeah, lizards are good listeners, but they don't hear.
Yeah, there is some sweet moments to this, and it's sad because a lot of people, at least that I knew, kind of shrugged the movie off because it's just called Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
And that's the main problem is, if you're just shrugging it off, you might miss a good time. You know what I mean? Because this movie ended up being a lot more fun than I was expecting myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, that's the only thing that threw me off is the trailer. It kind of spoiled it for me. I was just more expecting something a lot more pulpy, and that's. I mean, I keep kind of circling back. That's one of the reasons I like to just blind watch stuff, or at the very least, I'll read over the synopsis so I at least know more or less what's going on.
No, I get you there.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of consider the trailer a spoiler anyway, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more on the second watch, since I already knew what the film was.
Absolutely, same here. Because you understand what you're getting into. And then you can just relax a little bit and just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite scene didn't change. I still enjoyed the ambulance ride just as much as the first time.
Yeah, me too.
Let me see, that beginning scene where the two hitchhikers, they run across the bear, and he's acting weird, and he's bashing his head against the tree. That's kind of, I don't think anybody on cocaine would do that.
No, probably not. But I think it definitely sets the tone of the film that you cannot take this seriously. It's going to be a goofy comedy. You know what I mean? It's not like 100% like slapstick or anything like that, but it helps set the tone of like you know what you're getting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then he's kind of like doing that ninja cat thing. Like he pops up closer every single time and
Mhm.
before he charges them.
Yeah, and I love how after he mauls and kills the Elsa character, you know, you get that the bear pops up in the front of the screen, it freeze frames, boom, title Cocaine Bear.
Mm-hmm.
The title moves away, and then it gets distracted by like a butterfly, and it's looking around, and then it goes and chases that. You know, and little subtle stuff like that is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I liked that kind of like how dogs do. It's like, oh, it's a butterfly.
Exactly. You know, it's perfect. You know, it's just like again going from something very vicious to something very funny and sweet, and then you know what you're getting into. You can't take it too serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I really had a favorite character. I mean the bear was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Like that weird scene where we discovered the bear's female because she fell asleep on someone's ear.
yeah. And I, if I can't, I don't know if I can pick a favorite character either
Hmm.
because I think they're all really good and they all serve purpose. I was very surprised. I'm very picky when it comes to child actors because sometimes they can be really good or sometimes they can be really cringy.
Yeah.
I thought the girl and the boy in this were really good. I mean, we see the boy more so, and
Hmm.
he's more comedic, but I think a lot of his stuff works. I love the scene where they find the bag the block of cocaine, and he's trying to impress the girl by saying, "Oh yeah, I do it all the time," you know, this and that. She sees right through him. You know what I mean? They're best friends, so she knows he's full of crap. Okay, do it. No, 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 I don't want to. And then she's she wants to know how to do it because she's not afraid, and she asks him how. Oh, you're just supposed to eat it. How much? About a tablespoonful.
Yeah, I remember reacting to that, and I was like, "No, you don't."
Yeah, and then it's funny because she's got a knife. She opens it up, and it's like this big mound. She puts it in her mouth, and I love how they both immediately cough it out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's fun. And they don't get high. That's a lot of fun. And then I love at the very end when they're yelling when they're yelling at Ray Liotta, and the little boy says something. He's like, "We're gonna get out of here because I'm just fucking tired and exhausted from my day." And he was really good, and I loved the actress who played the daughter because I thought she had some good chemistry with Carrie Russell. You can tell that it's
Hmm.
just the two of them. They love each other, but they're always arguing with each other because she's 12, 13. So I thought they were really good too, the two children.
Yeah, it's a believable interaction. I mean, especially at that age. I mean, kids are developing themselves. They're trying to
Hmm.
figure out who they are. And it's kind of like, stop telling me what to do. I'm not a kid anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, and she knows. Like, we don't know how long that she's been a single mom, but she's kind of giving mom a little bit of, ball busting. Oh yeah, you want to take the shift to be with the pediatrician type of thing. She's
Yeah.
not against it, but she's still giving mom kind of a rough time. You know what I mean? So it's a good interaction.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like, oh, you like that guy, but I
Exactly. Yeah.
don't.
Exactly. It's just a fun interaction. All the characters are even like I said, even the three punks are they serve a purpose, and I like how O'Shea Jackson he just beats the crap out of all three of them without
Yes.
much struggle at all, and then literally the joke is he turns around, he's got a knife sticking out of his shoulder that we
Yes.
never saw him get stabbed, and then I
No.
love how he wakes one of them up. And the one punk's gonna, I'm not gonna tell you anything. He's like, dude, I just beat up all three of you guys in 15 seconds. You're gonna tell me what I want to know.
Yeah.
So, so if forced, maybe he was my favorite character, but it's hard to pick.
Yeah, I mean, he was fun. I like how he carried himself.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's just Carrie Russell was my least favorite, but it's just more I'm remembering her the way when she was younger. So I mean, that's nothing against her. It's just I didn't like the mom character. She was
Hmm.
just a little bit too mom for me.
Fair enough. Did you? I really liked how this took place in the 80s. I think we mentioned it, with the soundtrack, but it was cool just seeing like Depeche Mode and like the posters on the daughter's room, or just the soundtrack, or just the clothes that they're wearing in general. You know what I mean? It was fun because they don't really promote it as a
Mhm.
period piece. If you don't know the story of the bear finding the cocaine, like what year it was. I think when you and I first interacted, you didn't know that it was like it took place in the 80s because they don't promote this movie as an
Uh,
80s movie. You just have to kind of pick it up as you go along.
yeah, and yeah, I think I even remember asking, I'm like, is this supposed to be placed in a certain time? And you pointed out the posters to me, and you're like, yeah, it's the
Hmm.
posters kind of tell you. And I'm like, now I get to thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, that guy is crazy outfit with the shorts, and he's got the neon colors with the cap. I'm like, who
Yep.
would dress like that?
Yeah, exactly. But it is also kind of fun because in 2023, the 80s are somewhat making a bit of a comeback. You know what I mean? Nostalgia in retro is big, so it doesn't necessarily have to take place in the 80s. You know what I mean? I thought that was kind of a fun way to look at it too.
Yeah, I mean, biker shorts are coming back, and I remember doing that in the '80s and not thinking about it, and now they're back, and I'm like, ugh.
Exactly. It was all right when we did that stuff, but you kids today just knock it off.
I just think I'm realizing how bad it looked. It's just at the time I was a kid, so I'm like, I didn't know.
Yep. And hey, we wore what our parents bought us. You know what I mean? And then we look at ourselves and like, Mom, Dad, why did you make me wear this crap?
Yeah, it's kind of like looking through old photos of the '90s, and you have like those hooded sweaters with the stripes across, and it's the same thing. It's kind of like, ugh, I wore that.
Or for boys, the haircuts that I had. I had like, I guess they would call them the bowl cut. You know what I mean? Where it
Oh
looks like you
yeah,
literally put the cereal bowl on the head and you just shaved around it and all that type of stuff.
yeah. I think they still do that to little boys.
I don't know why. Oh, don't do that. It's a lot easier being a dad with a daughter. Just let her hair grow out. You know what I mean?
Oh no, then you still have to deal with those mornings she's crying because it's all tangled.
Yeah, we definitely have that, and that's why we always have that tangle spray on hand. Trust me.
Oh,
Hey,
are
Marty.
you guys going much longer? Pimp tweet.
Yeah, pimp us out, Marty. Marty's real good at pimping us out.
Yeah,
He's good at sharing videos. Appreciate it, bud.
yeah. Marty's awesome. Thank you. Um, but yeah, the outdated fashion. It's like, and I had taken that advice from Silence of the Lambs. Is if you stick to like a classic look, you'll never look outdated in old photos, videos. You won't look cringy.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true.
Which was the approach they took. I remember hearing that in their commentary is why they had taken that approach with the wardrobe for that movie.
Hmm. Yeah,
Other than just like one Madonna poster, you can't really date it.
right. Yeah, that's very smart. And again, that's why I said like Depeche Mode still has a following nowadays. So like with us, a kid in 2023 could be a Depeche Mode fan and have a poster on their wall. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
even though we know it takes place in the 80s, if you know the story, it could possibly take place in 2023. Like there's certain things that Mark, like the kid, the little boy, when he shows off his belt, it's the heavyweight championship from like Rocky 3. So I knew that, but like my wife and my daughter, they wouldn't have known that. They would have thought it was just a kid buying a cool looking belt to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch that. I thought it was like WWF back when it was still called that. I thought that's what
Hmm.
it was.
Yeah. See, and that's what makes it fun. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to take place in the 80s. It could take place now.
Hmm. Oh, Marty was saying, fun fact, this movie was filmed over here, and my cousin, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correct, Eliana, worked on the set design.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah, that's neat. Probably saw a lot of the, what do you call it, the intricacies, like how rehearsals and stuff.
Hmm. That's neat because the forest that they're in is beautiful. I love a lot of the sets. I love the look of the ranger station. You know what
Mm,
I mean? It's got this fun, realistic, rustic look, and I love how they eventually went into the caves. You know what I mean? You had this claustrophobic feeling. I love how it is dark, but it's not too dark that you can't see what's going on. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Because that's a lot of time. That's what I have problems with sometimes, like when horror movies take place in like a dark setting, whether it's a haunted house, a cave, or something like that. I understand that it's good to hide the villains, the monsters, behind the darkness, and then we get to see it. But the problem is sometimes it's so dark you
Yeah.
can't see what's going on. So they did a perfect job, I think, with the lighting here. I mean, I
Mhm.
think it helped. We had the waterfall,
Yeah.
we had the sunlight above it, but we got to see enough where it like we're not squinting to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, the cave worked out well, especially since the little bears were all powdered and they looked more like pandas or something.
Yeah, what was it? The little boy, they pop out of the bag and they're covered with the cocaine, and he says, "Are those polar bears?"
Yeah. I mean, that really helped also, but it did have good lighting. I mean, I think it had like some kind of backlighting, maybe gels.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, you can tell they put thought into that.
Oh yeah, and it was this cool blue tint that I really
Mhm.
enjoyed. You know what I mean? It wasn't just pure black. So it made it look more fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was really good. And like you said, it's usually other movies. And not that I'm picking on B films, it's just I watch
Hmm.
a lot of those. But
Hmm.
yeah, they tend to be very dark.
And I understand like a lot of it with B films. Like if Marty's still here, we're fans of like the Alien and Predator movies, and the second Alien versus Predator movie is very very dark, and it's to hide the effects of like the suits. The suits weren't 100% ready. Some of the visual effects weren't the best, so that's why they darkened it.
Hmm.
And that's what happens a lot of times with B films. You try to hide the imperfections, but this one was done really well. You could tell the bear was CGI. You knew that going in. The cubs were CGI, but it still looked really really good.
Yeah, I mean, it looked good. I mean, I kind of developed an attachment to the bears, even though I was kind of like laughing and having fun.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, Marty was saying the true story is really sad. The bear OD'd after a few hours. I believe that,
Yeah.
which really sucks. But yeah, yeah, I did watch that Peacock documentary on this. There were also, I think, cases with cows getting into cocaine.
Jeez. Imagine eating those steaks.
Oh man,
They say all you need is salt and pepper. Well, you got a little bit of cocaine on it too. That might
I mean, you
make
want to
me.
call it beyond beef?
Yeah. Jesus. But yeah, I loved the addition of the little bear cubs. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And the thing is, it wasn't they weren't added just to, oh, look at the cute little bear cubs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The scene that really got me, is Cocaine Bear. I keep
Yeah.
saying that it's Cocaine Bear. You're not going to take it serious. When Ray Liotta shot Cocaine, or I'm just going to call it, when Ray Liotta shot Cocaine Bear and it fell off the cliff
Uh-huh.
and it landed, and you think it's going to land in the water because everybody's jumping into the waterfall to get out, and
Yeah.
it lands on the rocks and it's like a thump. You know
Oh.
what I mean? The first thing I thought about, I was like, great, we got orphan bear cubs. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I'm watching a movie with this title, with this premise, and this movie got me to worry about the bear cubs.
Yeah.
That's
The
really good. You know what I mean? You don't expect that, you know what I mean, in this type of film. And I think that is good writing. And I think, again, like I said, a lot of people just kind of shrug it off because of the title,
Yeah.
because of the promotion, because of the poster.
Mm-hmm.
And you're missing more than just a bear getting high and mauling people. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's kind of like I can't remember the name right now. Was it Black Sheep, the one about the zombie sheep? A lot of people ignore that
Yes.
one too.
That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was so much fun. And my, I guess you say, my wildlife horror is very limited, other than like, Jaws and Orca.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've always wanted to get into like the '70s stuff with the killer, like Grizzly, and
Oh, I
the
love.
'80s with like Alligator and stuff like that. I have seen this movie with Terrence Stamp and who was it? the woman. I can't think of the woman. It's a famous actress now, but it's a movie called Link, and Terrence Stamp has like an orangutan and chimp sanctuary, and he's trying to smarten them up, and one becomes psychotic and stuff like that. It's
Oh,
really good.
was that the one with the scene where the ape is watching the woman in the bathtub?
Yes, yes,
Okay, I've heard of that. I've never seen it.
yeah. It's actually really good. But other than that, my wildlife, I guess you would say, horror is very limited, and I want to get into it, especially after watching this. Yeah, it's Elizabeth Shue, of all
Elizabeth,
people,
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
1986.
yeah, because I love eco horror. I like animal attack films. Like that's one of my favorite subgenres, which is also why I jumped on this one.
Hmm. But yeah, I need to, like I said, I've been wanting to see grizzly and alligator and that type of stuff for a long time, and I've just never kind of pulled the trigger. And I think now I'm going to, because this has kind of reignited that fire of wanting to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Grizzly and Day of the Animals, they almost feel like the same movie, but there
Hmm.
are just subtle differences.
Yeah, Night from Night Watch, Coriander, one of her favorite movies is Day of the Animal. So I want to see why they keep praising it so much, because it sounds
Mhm.
really good.
Yeah, I'm probably up for a rewatch. I haven't seen that one in a while, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen like other animal movies here and there, like Pet Cemetery is like my favorite horror movie of all time, but that's not an animal horror movie. It's just a horror
No.
movie with animals in it, like strictly animal horror. I really want to get into that genre, like
Hmm.
because I think Link, the one with Terrence Stamp and Elizabeth Shue, is really good, and I'm a sucker for Orca. You know what I mean? A lot of
I
people say
love
it's a
Orca.
yeah, they say it's a Jaws ripoff. I don't care. I think it's so much fun when you have it's a revenge movie with an orca, and he's destroying power plants and roaring and stuff like that. It's just it's tongue in cheek and just so much fun,
Uh,
especially by the end of the film.
Tentacles is also really fun. You get I think
Tentacles, okay.
it's you get an orca fight at the end with I forget a giant octopus or and I'm like I didn't expect that one. What's her name? Shelley Winters has a small scene in it.
Okay, I like her.
Yeah. But I remember seeing that, and the thing that stuck with me, I was a kid when I watched this because I liked the Saturday horror movies that they would play after the cartoons were over.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like how I know about like the older stuff growing up.
Yeah, I live in the Chicago area, so I grew up with Svengoolie, and he's
Oh,
still on, and he's still playing like all those 50s and 60s movies like every Saturday or Sunday night. So
hmm,
that's where I learned a lot of this like older stuff. And it's always like the B stuff, you know what I mean? Stuff like Elvira would play late at
hmm,
night.
yeah. But the scene from that one that I still remember it not just be like it wasn't like shocking or anything. It's just unexpected was and they don't even show it. It's implied there's a woman on kind of like a cliffside where there's the ocean and you can see it coming.
Hmm.
She's there with her baby and she's playing with him with the rattle and I think she turns around to get a bottle and she when she turns back the baby's missing. So it's implied that like the octopus snatched it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I'm not too into like like I love B horror, but I'm not like too into like the, I guess you'd say, Z grade horror. You know what I mean? The budgets of like 50 cents and the bad CGI like nowadays. I appreciate the stuff from the 70s and 80s more because it seems like they tried a lot more. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And that stuff is much more fun. Like you were with us when we did that watch party of Piranha. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That was a lot of fun, and
Mhm.
it was just it showed how like it's Roger Corman first, so that
Mhm.
tells you a lot.
Yeah.
And it's Joe Dante's first movie, and I he's my favorite director. So if you know
Oh,
what he's into making, like Gremlins and Small Soldiers and all that stuff, um, the effort that they put in with so little
mhm.
helps the appreciation of the film. You know what I mean? And again, it's not to be taken seriously. We were all having a blast, doing like mystery science theater with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. And the remakes, I thought, at least the first remake that Alexandra Aja did, was really good. That one was fun. The one with Ving Rhames. But I just love that era because you could tell that they tried their best with so little.
Yeah, I mean, Piranha is actually one of my favorite B films, and
Mm,
it was the ending scene where they're at the park was actually filmed not too far from me. I live in Austin. That was filmed in San Marcos,
okay.
which is on the property of a teacher college that I almost went to. So I find that, just like little small tidbits like that, I just
Mm,
find interesting. I even went out there to visit just to say, oh, well, I visited a portion of where the set was.
that's cool. It is neat when you find out where something was filmed and you've been there, or you've been like, I'm not talking about like, big movies that are just filmed in Chicago. An example is the newest Candyman movie.
Mm.
The scene where the main character is walking through the library and he's doing his research, that's literally filmed in the college in my hometown. Like I grew up in DeKalb, Illinois. It was filmed in Northern Illinois University, so I know where it is. I was literally there a couple weeks ago. My daughter did a 5K on their lawn. You know what I mean? So I was where they filmed a brief scene of a hit movie type of thing. So that type of stuff is really fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I took it off too soon. Marty was saying my favorite animal slasher is based on the lines. Oh, yeah, yeah, Ghost in the
I've
Darkness.
heard that is so good. I want to see that. I just haven't gotten a chance to yet. My
I,
dad loved that movie.
Oh, and I skipped one. He was saying Shakma, Killer Baboon, Monkey Shines.
Monkey Shines. Monkey Shines will always have a special place in my heart because it's in my opinion, it's not one of Romero's best movies. He's kind of hit and miss with me, but I love and this is just personal for me. I love the opening credits. It says, "And introducing Boo as the monkey or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
My daughter's nickname was Boo. That's her nickname now, and when she was born, she was called Monkey. So it's
Ah,
kind of a fun little tidbit for me. But Monkey Shines is fun. I've always liked the jealousy that monkey ends up having by the end of the film.
yeah, I forget, was it a capuchin or was it the larger monkey?
I think it was a capuchin. Yeah.
Hmm. But yeah, that one's, yeah, I mean, I know they can develop like affectionate relationships, but
Hmm.
I don't think they can go that far.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the Romero part for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was a case some years back, I want to say 20 years ago, where a family did own like a chimp, I think.
Hmm.
Couldn't take care of it anymore, so they gave it up to a zoo, but they would still go and visit it and, like bring it fruit and, like little gifts like that.
Hmm.
And some of the apes got jealous and they they attacked that family.
Really?
Hmm.
I didn't know that. I knew of the story. I thought you were going to say the one lady who owned a chimpanzee, and once they get to a certain age, you know what I mean? They're so territorial, and people don't realize how strong chimps physically
Oh
are.
yeah, yeah.
This one literally attacked its owner and injured her face so bad.
Oh
So
wow.
they had to get rid of it, but people don't realize. Remember, these certain animals, in my opinion, should not be pets, and you shouldn't really have a chimpanzee as a pet because they are wild animals. You know what I mean? You gotta remember that. They still have that animalistic instinct for a reason. They are animals, and they can be very very dangerous, no matter
Yeah,
how cute they look.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, in that other story, yeah, I mean, the family got attacked. I mean, the guy even had his testicles ripped off.
Jesus! Oh no!
Graphic, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, all they wanted to do is just visit their chimp, and they
Hmm.
got attacked.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Looks like I'll be doing some research. Write that one down.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being in college when that story happened, like early 2000s.
Okay, 2000s. I'll look for that one.
Let me see. Marty is saying no, it wasn't the owner, Eric. It was her friend. The story of
Okay.
the chimp who ate the woman's face. She had a face transplant, but it didn't take. The opening of Nope is based off of.
Oh, okay.
Hmm. Spoiler, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. I knew of that scene. I still haven't seen Nope either.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't heard that story.
Yeah, it. I remember when it was a big deal. I remember reading about it. It's scary stuff. Like I said, you think a chimp is all nice and cute. You put it in some overalls and give it a hat to wear and do people things, but it can still harm you. Like I said, they're smaller than us, but they are so much stronger than us, and you don't realize it.
Yeah. I mean, they're not exactly the same. I mean, we branched off from them, but
Mm-hmm.
few chromosomes difference.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's I mean, it's silly to say. I mean, who even decided that they should be pets?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I have no idea who. All it took was one person, keeping it as a pet, and people just thought it was like a fun. But then again, you got people like, granted, it's Mike Tyson of all people, but he used to own those white tigers and stuff like that. Why would you have that as a pet? All it takes. Look at Siegfried and Roy. They were around white tigers their whole career, and what happened? Eventually, 30 years later, it was mauled by their tiger. You never know with a wild animal. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, do you have this recent, I think it's recent, where Paul Logan was flaunting that he bought a tiger cub, and then he's kind of like, we are not the same. And I'm like, no, you're stupid.
Exactly, idiot. Yeah, I don't know why you would chance that.
Hmm.
Not just for your safety, but what if you have guests over? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a lawsuit waiting to happen too. I mean, you're lucky you have the money to just in case, but that's not the point.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, say it is able, you are able to own this animal that's not aggressive with you. Who's to say
Hmm.
it won't lash out at someone it doesn't know?
Exactly. That's how the same thing can happen with dogs. You know what I mean? Dogs are man's best friend for a reason.
Hmm.
They are like the best thing that can happen to you, but sometimes they get a bad vibe from someone for some reason, and all it takes, for them to go after someone.
Yeah, I mean, my mom owned a chow. They're not really the best family pet because they can be known to be aggressive. And yeah, I mean, he bit me. I mean, growing
Hmm.
up, and after that, I really didn't like dogs too much. It took a lot of years for me to come around. And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, here I am, dog sitting 5 puppies right now.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, you got to remember they're animals. That's the thing. People tend to forget. They can be dangerous for just that reason.
Hmm. Let me see. Marty was saying there are chimps in parts of Africa who would kill local tribes, people's children's, if they caught them alone.
Jeez. Yeah, it's scary stuff when you think about how vicious nature can be. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It's not just Jane Goodall studying the chimps. It's nature. Nature. There is a food chain. For a
Hmm.
reason, and people just tend to forget that. Because they focus on the cute stuff.
Well, we forget our place on that food chain. It's like, well,
That's true.
we think we're evolved. I'm like, okay, well, we need weapons to defend ourselves. We can't actually use our own hands to attack with.
Exactly. They have claws and fangs for a reason. We
Yeah,
don't.
we're a lot wimpier than we want to admit.
Oh yeah, put one of us. You can put the biggest badass. In the jungle without a weapon, and see how quickly at nighttime when you just hear twigs snap that he'll fold over. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah. But a farmer here in the 90s was harassed by a tax collector, so he knocked him out with a shovel and let his prize boar have his
Jeez.
way with him.
Oh, that makes me think of Hannibal.
Yes.
It
Uh-huh.
makes me think of Hannibal. The very end. Oh man, that was a good scene. Just watching them rip apart Gary Oldman.
Hmm. Well, I mean, he had it coming.
Oh yeah, of course he did. But I mean, it was just like you don't realize, something like a boar, just can rip apart a human with nothing, with ease. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, regular farm pigs could do the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Animals can be dangerous. You get kicked in the head by a horse. It could kill you.
Yeah.
Animals are dangerous, and they're wild animals. Hence the term wild. But
Yeah.
people just tend to forget that a lot of times.
Well, we have this mentality like, I own this. It's mine. It's like, um,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how do you own it after it shows you who's boss?
Exactly.
Oh, I'm going to get rid of it because it hurt me. I'm like, that's your solution?
Yeah. Yeah. Big job. Good job, tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, Slipknot was saying Ghost in the Darkness. That's a pretty good film. It is. It can be a little bit slow and dry, but I mean, once it gets going, it moves.
I'm gonna re-add that to the list because I've never seen it. And I've always heard people say I need to.
Yeah, I love that one. It has good tension.
I like Michael Douglas too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a scene where Val Kilmer's character gets scolded because he had a chance to shoot the lion and his weapon fails because he went out there with an untested gun.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I often watch Joe Rogan talk about how dangerous apes are. Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, some of them. I mean, what is it? Chimps even hunt down monkeys and they eat them.
Hmm. Yeah. And the thing is that about chimps, what makes them dangerous is they can learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes them dangerous. They can learn how to use tools to make their life a lot easier.
Mm. Oh, this is funny. The boar didn't eat him, more Barry White him.
Oh, good Lord. Thanks for that, Marty. Appreciate it. Oh, man.
You've got some candlelight and roofies.
That's right.
Jeez. That's a Mr. Hands stuff right there.
Yeah. My God.
I
I don't know how to follow that up. Oh, jeez.
like that's like early internet stuff. Like
Hmm.
oh geez. Now I'm thinking Two Girls, One Cup, but we're talking about animals.
Oh, 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 man. I am so glad I never fell for that trick. Oh, never fell for that because I remember there it was that ongoing thing. It's all over the internet. It's the reaction videos of just having people watch them, and I'm so glad I didn't fall for that. I know some people who did see
Uh-huh.
it. Lucky for them, it wasn't recorded, but yeah, just the reactions are just hilarious.
I mean, I had never heard of it, and then after I had been told it was fake, I'm like, I'll check it out.
Yeah, but still, it's just oh man, the reactions are so hilarious. I was watching what is called a shoot interview. It's like with wrestling, you know what I mean, where they it's an interview out of character.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a shoot interview where you can ask the questions yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
one of them sent in the video of Two Girls, One Cup just to get the guy's reaction. You didn't see the image of itself, but just his reaction.
Uh-huh.
Oh, good God, no. And he left the room and stuff like that. It was really funny.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know any better, it's like, yeah, it totally grosses you out.
Hmm.
I forget what they used. It wasn't like I think it was ice cream. Or I mean, it wasn't pudding.
Right. I think it was ice cream. You find out that it was.
Mm-hmm. Too funny.
Oh, Marty.
Let me see. Seriously, guys, working on
Yeah.
with a farm with my dad, I learned animals can be very horny with a stallion draft horse. Try to get it on with a Land Rover.
Oh man. Well, we did see, the cocaine bear. After he was done banging his head on the tree, he did try dry humping it for a little bit. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've seen cases where two female dogs are fixed and they'll still rub on each
oh
other.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't. Sometimes fixing doesn't matter. They can't have the babies, but it doesn't get rid of the urges.
Whoops. Well, they're alive.
Yeah. I'm sure you have plenty of stories to tell on that farm, Marty.
That's a whole other live stream.
Yeah, I know. That's definitely. We'll have to get Jen involved for that one, right, Marty?
Oh, she would love that. I love her reactions.
Oh, yeah, I love. The best part, if Marty's still watching, the best part of Jen and Marty's relationship to me is, Marty's cool as hell. He's laid
Mhm.
back, and to me, Jen, Like I don't know her personally outside of YouTube, but
Yeah,
she
same.
is this loud, boisterous, fun-loving woman.
She's very fun.
And she's very vulgar. She has no filter. It's all just off the top of her head. And then you could just hear Marty just going, "Oh Jesus, oh come on!" Like this is Marty. He doesn't embarrass easy, but you could still feel that in him, and that's what makes I think their relationship so sweet and entertaining to me. You know what I mean? When you have them do their little streams together.
I think Marty even put a compilation together of his gen like oh God moments.
I'm gonna have to look for that, or Marty, if you're still there, you're gonna have to send that to me.
Yeah, I think he did. Let me see. We have Slipknot asking, "What do you guys think of Anaconda?"
Um, yeah, I always forget about Anaconda. It's fun for what it is, I think. Look past the CGI Anaconda, the fact that it defies gravity and roars. But I mean, again, it's Cocaine Bear. This is a movie about a killer anaconda, starring Ice Cube and Jennifer Lopez. You know what you're kind of getting into. I think the main reason to watch Anaconda is for John Voight. I think John Voight chews up every scene he's in, and he is so good as this asshole hunter. You know what I mean? So I really think Anaconda is a fun creature feature, more so if you have like friends over for like food and drinks.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. Like at the time, sorry. I mean at the time I loved it. Like now you can enjoy it for just how cheesy it is. Like it's kind
Mhm.
of like I mean like not to pick on it, but it kind of feels like one of those it's so bad it's good movies.
Absolutely. And the thing is, there's like freaking three of them. I know David Hasselhoff, I think, is in the second one. He's the lead. So it's kind of a bit of a downgrade, if you have David Hasselhoff as the lead, kind of where he was at his life in that moment. But again, you know what you're getting. There's all these movies. There's a movie called Python with Robert Englund and Will Wheaton of all people. You know what I mean? You kind of know what you're getting into that. And then you have all the Sci-Fi Channel. You know, I'm not just talking about Sharktopus and Three-Headed Shark Attack, that type of stuff. But there's so many, so bad it's good B movies that serve a purpose.
Yeah.
They're self-aware and they're fun popcorn flicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, people dismiss them just because, or some people dismiss them just because, oh, that's on the Sci Fi Channel. I'm like,
Right.
well, you know what? Roger Corman's still attached to that. I mean, it's not like original Roger Corman quality, but I'll still watch it.
Oh yeah. I mean, Corman. I love that man because he shows, like I said it before, what you can make out of nothing. You know what I mean? And that's what I appreciate about him because he loves making films. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like Little Shop of Horrors, he made that in like 2 days,
Uh-huh.
supposedly based on a bet. You know what I mean? He used the same set from one movie, this and that, hired some of the same actors just to make a film.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is great about him. And he has helped so many people start.
Hmm.
Lance Henriksen, uh, James Cameron, of all people, started with him. Dick Miller. We mentioned Joe Dante. You can't have a Joe Dante movie without Dick Miller. So
Yeah.
many people started with Roger Corman. And I think not a lot of people realize that. Like, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have a lot of the people we have now. Like Sylvester Stallone was in Death Race 2000. Roger Corman. David Carradine. All these people have started with him.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that became big names, it's just, I mean, which is just adds to like, oh, he's his legend status.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Let me see. So we oh, John White was awesome, and then I
Yep.
skipped a comment. Um, Ice Cube starred in Anaconda, and his son is in Cocaine Bear. So
Yeah,
both been in crazy animal films now.
that's pretty cool. And his son looks just like him. His son looks just like him, and that's why another reason why I kind of want to see Straight Outta Compton. I
Mm,
wasn't a huge fan of the NWA rap group, but I just think it's kind of cool that he's actually playing his dad in a biopic. You know what I mean?
mm.
Just imagine like the pressure of that.
Yeah, yeah, I can get that. I've never seen it. I mean, truth be told, I never knew what it was about.
Yeah. It's about them growing, them like coming into Prosper and becoming the big group that they are. I want to see it mainly based on O'Shea playing his dad, but I've actually heard it's a really good film.
Mm, okay. Yeah, I mean, I would give that a chance. I mean, I've seen stuff like Hustle and Flow, and I mean, from the trailers, it's kind of like, well, this doesn't look that good. I watch it and I'm like, wow. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's extremely well written.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's another thing is you can't really just dismiss something on the way it's presented.
Oh yeah, trailers can throw you off big time. You can get a bad vibe from a trailer and then go and see a film and end up really loving it.
Hmm. Yeah, I used to do that with the local theater. It's like I would go every weekend. I mean, I lived in a small town, so the theater wasn't as expensive as in the city.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I would go once or twice over the weekend, and it's eventually I would just get to where I would watch everything the theater had, and I'm kind of like, oh, okay, well, some of those weren't as bad as I thought they were.
Right. You never know. You could find like a hidden gem. Just take a chance on a film. You got to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Same thing with watching bad movies, which I love to do. It's like you
Hmm.
go through a lot of stinkers, and then eventually you just find like, hey, this one's a good stinker.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like there are movies like I have a friend who kind of dubbed me like the connoisseur of crap because I love bad movies. I love like anything, cheesy, badly made, bad acting. But there's a difference between, like we've said before, so bad it's good, stuff you
Hmm.
can have fun with, and then you have that stinker, that one that's like unbearable to watch.
Oh
But
yeah.
but the problem is, if you think all bad movies are like that, you're going to miss out on some fun opportunities.
Hmm.
You know, just look at like the slasher genre by itself. You the whole '80s slasher movies, they're all the same. Some are really boring, some are really good, and then some are so bad it's good. Like me and my wife, we were doing a video for what was it? Slumber Party Massacre.
Mm.
And we thought it was going to be garbage. We thought it was going to be trash. And it was. But don't get me wrong, it was. But it's
But
one of
it's
those movies that
exactly what it
was
says it
so,
is.
yeah, it's so bad. It's so self aware. You have a lot of fun. Like, it would have been tough if I was watching it by myself, you know what I mean? But we were having so much fun pointing out this, pointing out that helped the experience of watching that type of movie. So you can't just like we said about the title of Cocaine Bear, you can't just really base a movie off of its title.
Well, the title alone was reason enough for me to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's true. It's like you spend the entire time calling it the Cocaine Bear. It's like that's a good title choice.
Yep. Yeah, it gets people talking. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's also very smart marketing because either A, people are going to go see it because they want to, they're going to see it because they think it's stupid.
Hmm.
But either way, they're still talking about it, and it's creating the buzz. So it's
Yes.
very smart marketing.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. Let me see. Oh, when we were talking about Anaconda, Marty was asking, or he said there's snakes out there that big. I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know that. It's just I was kind of poking fun at it because like how it kind of defied gravity. Like the one time when Jonathan Hyde's falling off the cliff and then it's going with him and then suddenly swoops up and like snatches him and rolls around and that type of stuff. But that adds to the fun. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Oh, I haven't seen the Anaconda sequels though. I don't. I think I saw the one about the blood flower. Or,
Yeah, I think that's the second one.
hmm.
I'm not sure. I mean, it was smart. It went from Anaconda to Anacondas with an S, kind of like Alien and Aliens. So I know it was trying to be smart like that. But like I said, when you go to David Hasselhoff as the lead, you can't you kind of know what you're getting. Eh,
Well, but we didn't.
especially at that time of his career. I mean, it's different than like when he was playing like a facsimile of himself in like the second Piranha remake. He was playing David Hasselhoff, this womanizing alcoholic guy who was just there for the money type of thing. So he was. It was funny watching him poke fun at himself. He's at the opening of this water park. The piranhas come and attack, and he's like Mitch. He's sitting in the lifeguard chair, but instead of saving people, he gets the hell out of there.
Yeah.
That type of funny stuff.
Yeah. I mean, what you would expect from, I guess, an actor, like the
Yep.
cliche.
Exactly. He's running away in slow motion to the Baywatch theme. It's so self aware and fun.
Yeah. Let me see. We're still going back to animal attacks. I heard of an horror movie called Razorback about a giant boar in Australia is really good. I've heard the title. I've never watched it.
I've never seen that either. I've heard of it. And I think I've seen like the Blu-ray cover of it.
Hmm. Yeah, and then Hustle and Flow was great. I enjoyed that. It was, yeah, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I heard it was really good. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. I want to watch that. I was trying to remember the name of that movie. Sisu? Did I
A
say?
lot a lot of people are talking about that. I was wondering what it was because I haven't seen any trailers, but I see it like all over my feeds and stuff like that.
Yeah, Marty showed me the trailer. It's from the makers of, darn it. What was that crazy Santa movie?
Violent Night,
No, that giant Santa creature.
Krampus,
He help me out, Marty.
giant Santa creature. The only thing I can think of then is Krampus.
Like he was a giant creature. It's also a foreign film.
Oh, Rare Exports.
Yes, the title will not stick.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's by those same guys.
Okay.
Yeah, think the Hang'em Heist set in the World War II. Yeah, Marty showed me that trailer, and I'm like, oh, I have to see that.
Mm-hmm. If it's made by the Rare Export guys, I'm definitely into it because I thought Rare Exports was a lot of fun, a really good movie.
Hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I haven't kept up with them, but this one looks, yeah, like I say, it looks like something I would watch.
I'm gonna write that down now just to remind me to look into it.
Yeah. I mean, I like those crazy movies that are just everywhere, like pulpy is what I call it. But
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, I'm kind of like one of those people. You have to convince me to sit down and watch a chick flick.
Yeah, I'm the same way too. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some of those that are end up being entertaining, but yeah, you really got to convince me to sit down. Why am I watching this?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few that I like, mostly from the early 2000s era, but it's not something I keep up with.
Right. Same here.
Let me see. And we have, how are you guys doing? I'm all right. Having a good Saturday.
Yeah, doing good. Having fun being here. Just having conversations about movies. That's the main reason why I do YouTube is because I just love talking movies.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've met a lot of cool people doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I love the community.
Yeah, it overall it is a good community. Like you know, you have your ups and downs with it, but overall it's gotten a lot better than where I was. With some of the community years ago. It's a fun place to be. You meet a lot of cool people, and then it's weird how you realize how they're all connected. You know what I mean? How this person knows that person, this person has met that person through here, and it's just really cool.
Oh, speaking of which, I forgot to mention earlier, if anyone's interested in checking Eric's stuff, check the description box, and I have his YouTube channel and his social links down in the description box if you want to follow him or check him out.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hmm. I should have mentioned it earlier. Sorry, it's just we got straight into the movie.
Hey, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, his info is there if anyone's interested.
Yeah, that's the reason why I got into YouTube, just because I had a couple buddies that like talking movies, and I figured, why not? What's the worst that can happen? I'm just sitting in front of my phone, for 15 minutes to, whenever I'm doing a live stream, it's just water cooler talk, talking with your friends.
Hmm. Yeah, I like the casual chats, and I mean, especially around here. I mean, everyone that does these hangouts, everybody knows I'm pretty casual. I don't do like those stylized, what do you call it?
Intro.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I really do all of that. I wish I knew how. I like the format. It's just it's really not me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I have the patience to do it, and I'm not tech savvy, so it's just like there was a joke I made with Night Watch the last night. We were celebrating with him, and I was leaving, and I haven't put anything up on my channel in a couple weeks just because I've been so darn busy. But I
Mhm.
say it is fun when people ask me to be like today. I love being guests on other channels. A,
Mhm.
because I get to meet new people. I get to meet new people in the chat. I get to meet the regulars like Marty that I've known for years, and
Mhm.
and it's kind of also easy for me to be the guest because I don't really have to put in any of the work. I just have to show up. So it's easier for me like that. Because I do appreciate the people that do these intros. They throw up the graphics and stuff like that. But I, it's just like you said, it's not you. It's not me either. I just like just to sit there and BS. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's just I've never figured out OBS, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so much easier just to sit there, press record, say what I want to say, upload it, and then you know wait until I get motivated to do another video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is fun doing these live streams with people too because you get to know them more on a personal level, their likes, their dislikes, and then like I said, you get to meet new people in the channel. Like I've known Marty for years, but Slipknot fan, I don't think I've ever seen him on any other channels too. So that's cool the way that they're interacting with us and me too. So that's been cool
Hmm.
meeting just random new people.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun. But yeah, I mean, I usually do these live streams on Saturdays, and I like it because it's a different way of interacting. Like, I have my vlogs, and
Hmm.
I mean, I haven't been doing film reviews lately. I'm just doing vlogs for now. I
Hmm.
want to get back to that, but I think this interaction's a lot more personal. So I like the exchange, and I'd like to think that everyone else enjoys it a little more. I mean, the videos. I mean, I know everyone's waiting for the next review, but it's going to be a while.
Well, and this is how I've always told people. Like I'm no one special on YouTube. You know what I mean? But I always say this: just keep it fun.
Hmm.
Do what you want to do. You know, I mean, yeah, sure, you have the audience, like you said, waiting for the next review. But if you're not in the mood to do it,
Yeah.
it'll show through your performance. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that's why, to go back to these live streams, it's more genuine, it's more casual. You can tell how these people really are. Because I'll tell you what, I would rather wait for a review than to watch one until the person really just doesn't want to record it at that
Hmm.
moment. You know what I mean? You definitely pick up, like, let's just say you as an example, you want to wait a while, but let's just say if you forced out that review, you might not be able to realize it, but me as a viewer, I could tell you just didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So that's why I always say, just, you've got your regulars, they will be there when you do the review type of thing, but just keep it comfortable and fun for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, and I agree with you, and that's also part of why I'm just holding off. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why I like to do the live streams. Also, is it's kind of like I'm still here. We can still hang out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I've been doing with my channel. It's been honestly, a couple months since I've actually had anything new on my channel because my work life has just been so crazy. I come home, I'm dog tired. I don't want to do a video, because first I got to watch the movie and then I got to remember what to say. And if I'm dead tired, I don't want to do it, and people will realize it's a bad video. So I've got some old videos like that I thought were lost. I've been uploading it to keep the content going, but
Mhm.
I've just been so tired. I'd rather people just not see me, in zombie mode from work discussing a film.
Yeah, I'll do that sometimes too. Like I'll call them vault videos. Like I'll run across old stuff, and I'm like, hey, this one's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, I kind of like I like it too because I can see how I've changed over time. And
I'm the same way when I go back and watch my older videos, I just cringe. Sometimes you can tell how I was not comfortable on screen, and now once I realize it's just because when I first started, I had no one in the community. You know what I mean? The only ones that subbed to me was my friends and families who didn't watch. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
once you meet the people and you get the regulars and stuff like that, you can take a breath of fresh air. You can calm down a little bit, and you realize it's literally water cooled. Why do you like this movie? Here's why. Why did you hate this movie? Here's why. And it's just be yourself.
yeah,
I always say, if you're making a review for a movie, how would you describe it to your friend? You know what I mean? You don't worry about how many people are going to watch it. How
no, no.
would you describe this? Like, if I'm going to if I just saw Cocaine Bear and I'm going to review it, how would I describe it to you? You know what I mean? Just
I
one
mean,
person, and then upload it like that.
I mean, the way I treat it is I make the videos for myself first. So if I'm not enjoying it and I'm not having fun, then no one else will.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I always tell people keep this as a fun hobby. Remember, don't get obsessed with sub counts, don't get obsessed with views. I mean, everyone wants, we're on YouTube, we're on the internet because we want people to watch our material. You know what I mean? But don't obsess about it because then it won't be fun anymore. You know what I mean? You don't want that. You want it to stay fun. You want it to stay a fun hobby for yourself. Hobbies are do when you feel like it. You know what I mean? It's like putting together a puzzle. Sometimes you go 3 days, you're putting together that damn puzzle. Sometimes you take a month off. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to get so obsessed and frustrated because you can't find that one piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, but I mean, I think a lot of it is just programming from YouTube also. I mean, they're here to make business off of the
Mm-hmm.
ads. So they push us like, make this video, work, get your
Mm-hmm.
thumbs up, get your views up. So they're pushing us to do that. And it's I think we subconsciously take this programming and we take that in.
No, I think you're 100% right because it also goes like how much content you punch out, you pump out is
Mhm.
how much they're gonna share your videos in like the recommendations like on the side. You know what I mean? Like if you're like Knight or Marty or American Werewolf who does regular content, you know what I mean? They're gonna get shared more because of the algorithm. If it's someone like me who does it once a week, if I'm lucky, it's not going to get shared. And a lot of people obsess about that, and they might, like you said, it's subconscious. They don't realize it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. I mean, I have a regular full-time job. This is
Mm-hmm.
a hobby. I mean, I also paint in my spare time. I have digital photography. I mean, YouTube isn't my life.
Right. Exactly. And the people that do it every day and put all this effort into it, God bless them.
Mhm.
It's just not for me. I can't do it because the 40-hour job, the wife, the kid at home. Sometimes I'm too tired. Sometimes I just want to sit down and watch wrestling, you know what I mean, or read a book. I don't want to have my face because I'm at a computer for a lot of my day at work. I don't want to be looking at a screen while I'm off the clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's to quote Billy Zane in Demon Knight, I'm like, if it makes you feel good,
If
do
it
it.
makes you feel good, do it. You know?
Yeah.
That I love that movie. That's a yearly Halloween time watch for me.
Yeah, I have a friend that does the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Every Halloween time, Marty's still in the chat. Me and him discuss Demon Knight. It's such a fun movie.
It is. I love it.
I love it. I love everything Tales from the Crypt. I've got in the closet over there. I've got like hardback editions of like the old EC comics and stuff like that. I love anything Tales from the Crypt.
No, I used to have the novelization of the film. I still have my soundtrack. I used to joke that all I need is the poster because I have the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hey, that was a great soundtrack too.
I love
Such
it.
such a great soundtrack. Such a good cast. And again, it knows what it is, kind of like Cocaine Bear. Tales from the Crypt is very self-aware, very pulpy, 50s. Push the button, but it still has that cheese factor. You know what I mean? Because EC Comics was William Gaines, who also created Mad Magazine. You know what I mean? So it has that type of cheesiness, over the top, don't take yourself seriously vibe to it, and that's how Demon Knight is, big time.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was just thinking on that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I had seen that documentary on the season one of Tales from the Crypt where they talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that just slipped me because originally the EC stood for educational
Yep.
comments. Yeah,
Yep, and they went from educational to entertaining. You
yeah,
know. Yep.
yeah. Interesting stuff.
Oh yeah, when you go down these little rabbit holes of things, it's just it's surprising what you can find. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I found out William Gaines, he created Tales from the Crypt and EC Comics, but he also did Mad Magazine. Those are complete 180s. You know what I mean, from each other.
Well, I believe when the son took over, he's the one that took that other route.
Okay, but either way, him being associated with it is still pretty neat, in my opinion.
hmm Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. Right here, Marty's still talking about Sizu. the main character is so badass but doesn't want to hurt the Nazis' dog, so he sets himself on fire to save them off. Jeez.
Wow. Yeah,
Uh,
that definitely sounds like something from the guys from Rare Exports.
it makes me think I should check in on what else they've done, because Rare Exports is the only thing of theirs I've seen.
Yeah, I'm sure they've done much more than just that because Rare Exports is at least 15 years old, if not longer, I think.
That sounds about right, yeah.
That was a pleasant surprise when I watched that. That was a lot of fun.
I mean, I'm surprised people don't talk about, unless I just missed that memo, but it seems like people don't talk about that one much around Christmas.
No, I think it's because it's over. It's always overtaken by Gremlins. It's always overtaken by like Krampus, or like a violent Santa Claus movie, or Jack Frost. You know what I mean? It's always like a killer Santa or a killer snowman, and no one thinks of Rare Exports. Plus, I think the fact that it's a foreign film also kind of hinders it a little bit. You got to find the right person who's into foreign films.
Yeah, I mean, I've reviewed it, but it's true. It's not one of my Christmas traditions to watch it. I watch Krampus every year.
hmm Yeah, I'm a Gremlins guy every year, but then again, Joe Dante is, I love him so much in all his films.
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch Home Alone, and I'm like, I've seen it so many times growing up. I'm just kind of tired of it.
hmm
But yeah, I mean, Gremlins, I love, and I like how the fact that it's actually so dark, you don't realize it's not a kids movie.
No, not at all. And you don't realize that when you are a kid, when you
Mhm.
grow up, and when when she's telling the story about how her father died
Yeah,
pretending to be Santa Claus because he literally went down a chimney and broke his neck,
yeah,
and he was there for like a week. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's some dark shit. And then
Hmm.
and then I do love, like, when Dante made Gremlins 2, he said the only way I would do it if it was basically Looney Tunes, which it is, but they threw they threw in how dark it was. Like, now she can't celebrate Lincoln's birthday because one time she was out at the playground and someone who dressed like Abe Lincoln showed up in just a trench coat, and then they cut off the joke like that. But it's just, Gremlins is very, very dark. It's very violent, but that's how the 80s were because there was no PG-13. They can just go all the way, like
Well,
Poltergeist, stuff like that.
well, even Munchies, which was a Roger Corman produced, I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
marketed as a family film, but you've got pot, you've got an implied sex scene.
hmm
I forget what else they did, but they got away with something else.
Oh yeah. There's murder and mayhem, and I Munchies holds a special place in my heart. You know what I mean? Because I grew up watching that too. One of the many Gremlins ripoffs, like
Yeah.
Critters and Ghoulies and stuff like that.
Oh
But
man.
again, with it being Roger, Roger didn't care. He had no problem ripping something off and make it with like 15th of the budget. You know what I mean? The Munchies are basically hand puppets. You know what I
Yes.
mean? But they're so cute and fun. I just can't help but love the film.
See, that's one of those movies that no one mentions, but it's one of the ones I like to watch on 420.
It makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, when that first came to Blu-ray, I bought it.
Mhm.
Just to have it in my collection. And it's fun. My daughter loved it. She had a lot of fun. She was at the age, the little cute monsters, you
Mhm.
know, Gremlins and stuff like that. She's seen one of the Ghoulie movies. I
Oh,
think it was the second one where they're at the carnival, the one that's a little bit more slapsticky.
oh,
So
I'm not crazy on that one. I love the first Ghoulies.
see, I like them both for different reasons. I like Ghoulies too because that's the one I grew up with. It was the more slapsticky stuff.
Fair enough.
I hadn't seen Ghoulies, the original, until probably for the first time, maybe a handful of years ago. I
Oh,
didn't realize how different it was in tone, the witchcraft and the black magic and all that stuff. And I really enjoy that one too, but you got to realize it is not the second film, and it sure as fuck isn't the third one when they go to college.
oh no, 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 not that one.
Oh,
I mean,
I,
they're basically standalone films. They're just sequels in name.
Yeah. And oh man, I remember I was homesick from work one day and it was like, flu. I didn't leave the bedroom. So I had the laptop because I didn't want to get the wife sick because she's in the living room and she was babysitting. And I must have had like a fever or something. I watched Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College, and it was like one of the worst decisions I ever made. It was
Oh,
so bad. Like it was cheesy as hell, but I'm like, this is nothing like even compared to like the cheesiness of part 2.
yeah. Um, Oh yeah, this one I've seen. That one had to grow on me. Have you guys ever seen or heard of a movie called Trick or Treat? It's a slasher from '82. Yeah, that's the one with Gene Simmons and Ozzy. They just have like brief cameos, but I don't know why they're on the cover.
Oh, well, I think they're definitely on the cover to sell the DVD. You know what I mean? But I have a bootleg of it because I just I found it cheap at like a market. I didn't realize it was a bootleg, and it's fun for what it is. I mean, here's how you think about it. You know what I mean? You're either going to market it with Gene Simmons or Ozzy Osbourne, who are in the movie both combined 5 minutes, or
Mhm.
you're going to put the kid who is known as Skippy from Family Ties on the cover. You know what I mean? How are you going to sell your product? You
Yeah.
know? But yeah, I mean, it was a fun, mystical rock and roll '80s movie. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I loved the original cover. I wish they had kept that for the DVD.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I don't.
with Sammy on the cover.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need the horrible new one. I mean, it looks so cheesy, and it's like I know Ozzy and Gene Simmons are not the main stars. It's like, phew, get out of here.
And they're not even pictures of them from the movie. They just Googled a picture and slapped it on the cover.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that I didn't like. I mean, that's my only criticism on the film cover. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. I remember watching that movie when I was a kid. I mean, I liked it, and then watching it, like when it was re-released on DVD, I'm like, yeah, I love this. And then I guess it was like my mood at the time. I had rewatched it for the Spoiler Room podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, this movie is so dumb. I don't.
Well, it is. Yeah, it is funny when you go back to those films that you loved as a kid, and then it's like what we were talking about, with the clothes and the hairstyle that we grew up with. It's like, what the hell were we thinking back then?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and then of course there we have Marty reminding with the '80s. Is it the '80s? Oh my gosh, I'm still stuck on the last one. The war. I haven't seen too many of like the '80s rock horror. So it's not a genre I'm too
I'm not. I'm
knowledgeable
not
of.
too familiar with it either. No,
Like the only other one I saw was Something Roses, and I'm like, Black Roses.
I haven't heard of that.
No, that one's pretty neat. I mean, the whole band
Black
are demons, and they have a night concert
roses.
in this town. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense to have a concert every single night, but they're kind
Mm-hmm.
of like taking control over the teenagers.
That
Um,
could be good.
yeah, and they're kind of like becoming these demon creatures themselves that are attacking their own friends, neighbors, things like this. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously it's the '80s, so there's some boobs.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's like one inappropriate scene. It's kind of like kind of like the whole hot for teacher thing, but it's a young girl that's hitting on her friend's dad.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and I'm like, I guess you could do that in the '80s. Nowadays,
Oh,
people
yeah.
are like, that's too woke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, geez, look at when you said that first thing, I thought it was Jason Takes Manhattan.
Mm,
You got the girl who she owes a biology report. Well, principal comes in, she takes off her bathrobe and she's got the biology painted on her body, and she tries to seduce him on the bed. Now
mm,
remember, this is a high school senior trip, so she's probably 17. This
mhm,
was 1988. You didn't. No one cared in the 80s. You know what I mean?
mm.
You're not having that in this day and age,
No, I mean, especially in this day and age. I mean, a film like Pretty Baby. I mean, like you can't remake that.
right?
Which
Oh,
is an awesome movie, but the subject matter, I'm like, you'd at least have to make the character 17, 18, which would be pointless. That's not the story.
right. Yeah, just a different time. I'm not going to get too much on a soapbox, but it's just look at all the '80s comedies. You can't have a Porky's. You couldn't have a Revenge of the Nerds. You
Mm,
couldn't have, or let's go back to the '70s. You couldn't have a Blazing Saddles.
mm,
Any of the stuff that's considered classic '70s and '80s comedies would not survive today's society. You know what I mean? You
mhm.
know, and that's the thing. We always say it was a product of its time,
Yeah,
and I mean, it is what it is, but there's no way certain things, like if they were remade, they either wouldn't have the charm or it wouldn't be the same movie because they got to cut out like 90% of the jokes.
probably all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, there would be no movie left. But, and that's the sad thing. People are like, oh, well, we're wise to all of this now and we've gained so much. And it's like, do you even realize how much we've lost?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Mel Brooks himself said, comedy's dead because
Mm-hmm.
the one thing is, being a comedian, I'm no comedian, I don't write jokes, but when it comes to comedy, you can't walk on eggshells. A lot of comedy is shock value with what they say, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to do that now, air quotes, being monitored, you know what I mean, in today's society, because you say one wrong thing and there goes your career.
Yeah, I mean, this whole nonsense with cancel society, it's like, okay, you're going to go after me for something I said when I was a teenager and I'm like 60 now. I'm like, you're going to hold that accountable? I'm like, I'm a different person now.
Exactly. You know, James Gunn was fired from Guardians 3 because they found a tweet he said, in bad taste from 10, 15 years ago. And he himself had already apologized for it since then, like before they even found the tweet, but it's just right then and there, the decision was made.
Mm-hmm.
It broke my heart when Eddie Murphy came out and apologized for a lot of his comedy from the 80s. It's vulgar, it's over the top, it's offensive, but
That's Eddie Murphy,
that's
though.
exactly. You think Richard Pryor or George Carlin would be apologizing nowadays?
No, not at all. They would just say, suck it.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's just, I, I get it, but I don't like it. You know what I mean? That
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. People are just, I don't know what their problem is. I mean, even in the 90s, that's when we started losing stuff, but people still had that thing like, um, even like in the early 2010s, like you could say something about something you disliked, and you could say, "Oh, that's GAY," but you didn't actually. That wasn't like a slur against somebody.
It was, you know what? And yeah, exactly, you can use that, or we'll just say the R word. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
not, you're not making fun of a person specifically. You're making fun or talking about a situation which you consider stupid. You know what I mean? Something you don't agree with. It's
Mhm.
and like all these 80s, like, the movie, one of my favorite, another Halloween movie I watch all the time is Halloween Time. It's the Monster Squad. It's basically, the Goonies versus, or the Little Rascals versus the Universal Monsters, but they throw the F word around a lot, for, I'll just say, I want to watch my words on YouTube, for a homosexual. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how kids, especially boys, talk to each other. They
Mhm.
called each other that word back then in the schoolyard, whether they were hating the kid, or, you know what, me and my
Hello?
buddies called each other that all the time, and it was just a regular jab. It didn't mean you were attracted to boys. It was just, calling you an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it also didn't mean you disliked a certain type of person.
Exactly. Like I said, with the R word, I try not to use it on YouTube. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to offend people. You know what I mean? I don't want to. I don't care, but you know what I mean. I do care, type of thing. But it's just not. It's not making fun of people with, disabilities or anything like that. It's just, the way we grew up. It was just, that's how you talked about the situation.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And I get why people find it offensive, 100%, and I try not to say it around those type of people,
Hmm.
but I'm not using it as a derogatory term towards an actual person. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would understand that nowadays people would just get all bushy tailed and get their underwear bunched up, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they would get so irritable about it they would just probably eat their underwear.
Yeah, I know. It's just a different time, a different time, and
And
it's very shocking to
they
see how it is.
they call it being woke, and I'm like, you know what? You're just a wuss.
Yeah, there's a difference between being woke and then going overboard with it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Being woke, I always took it as to waking up to a certain type of situation and realizing, okay, that is wrong. But it's not finding offense in everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what is it? That Dangerfield movie with Jonathan Brandis, I think, Ladybugs. I'm like,
Ladybugs, yep.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can be, like, all sissified about it and say there's a lot wrong with it, or you can just look at the comedy and just enjoy it for what it
It's
is.
a '90s family comedy. The it's a play on like when Fred Flintstone had to be at two parties at once. You know what I mean? He had to change costumes. The only difference is Rodney Dangerfield is just bringing in a boy to play on a girls' soccer team. You don't see him in the locker room. He is not. There's nothing. There's a couple, bathroom jokes, but that's about it. You don't see girls in their underwear. He's not putting the moves on them. There is no. I don't think there's any homosexual bashing. I don't think
No.
there's any transgender or I don't think there's any cross dressing, jokes at their expense. But people just look. Some people are not happy until they can find something wrong with something.
Yeah.
Sit down and watch Ladybugs. It's a fun, light-hearted comedy.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can really think of is he just kind of made like a joking compliment, like, "Oh, you look pretty," but I mean, that was it.
Yeah, or there was a joke when, he's trying to help him adjust. They're in the dressing room together and he's trying to help him with like zip up the back of his dress. And it sounds like Rodney Dangerfield's in there with his daughter, because they walk out together. It sounds bad.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I
that
heard
was the
that.
joke. Or there's the scene where Jonathan Brandis has to go to the bathroom and he's in full, female garb and he goes in the women's room. And then
Mhm.
Rodney Dangerfield steps forward, in front and doesn't let a lady in. He makes her go to the men's room. You just hear her scream, and he says something like, "I bet it's something she never saw before."
Oh,
That's not bad. That's just comedy. You know what I mean? But people look too into that type of stuff.
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, not that it's come up, but it's like I can see that as being one of those movies that would get attacked.
Oh, I'm sure it's just a matter of time. Trust
Yeah.
me.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like one of those things people would be silly enough to go after.
Right.
Yeah. Let me see. Marty was saying, Eric, we need to do a talk on the 2010s Predators.
Sure. Absolutely, dude. Hit me up. Marty's always fun to talk to. He's always
Yeah.
fun to talk to.
He always has these insights that, I mean, like things I had never considered. And he always has, I mean, I like to collect factoids, but he always has something that I've never heard of. And I'm like, what?
Oh, we were talking one of the Predator films. I think we're probably talking Predator 2, and he talked about how Predator has fought everyone. Like I knew there's comics where he fought Batman and Superman, the usual stuff. There's a Predator versus Archie comic, he goes to Riverdale and I guess the Predator loses and they remake him into an Archie character. It's so bizarre and I didn't believe him until he sent me the link. And I read that issue and like I never would have known that if it wasn't for Marty and his, his thousands and thousands of examples of like information with this type of stuff that he's good with.
I'm like, whoever wrote that must have been an acid.
I know it's interesting. I'll leave it at that.
Let me see. This one, I'm not sure what it refers to. Yeah, if you push it, it creases being fun.
Oh, I think he's talking about forcing yourself to like make YouTube videos over and over again.
Oh,
It's not fun.
yeah, yeah. No, it just feels like you're
Feels
punishing
like
yourself.
feels like a job. You know what I mean? You don't want it to be a job. I already have a job. I don't need another one online.
Mm-mm. And the people that do force themselves, you see it.
Yeah, you
Um,
definitely see. You see how tired they are.
yeah. Well, they even have a term for it. False positivity is what they call it.
hmm Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like the vloggers. I mean, I think they're the ones that they do it more often. And I'm like, I at least hope you're having fun because, I mean, I love editing. To me, it's one of the most fun parts of making video. But it's like
hmm
I also know it's work, and you're editing every single night.
Right. That's got to take away a lot. Like either to me, I think about it takes away family time. It takes away you time. It takes
Mhm.
away sleep. You know what I mean? That's right. There are a couple people that I've watched before, and they just call it like the weekend vlogs. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They film a week's worth of material, and they just upload it on the weekends and edit it on the weekends when they have the spare time. So it gives them something to do during the day.
Oh,
So,
that's kind of like what I've started doing. Like I
hmm
used to film in my spare time. Now what I'm doing because I want to spend time with my dogs, so that's what I do
hmm
during the weekdays.
hmm
I mean, like they're my family. I want to spend time with them.
exactly.
on weekends, I'm like, that's when I paint. That's when I like bulk film vlogs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if I have time, I'll edit or find some other activity to do. But I'm like, that's what I do now, at least.
Right.
So I mean, that's when I watch my movies. I'm like, okay, I'm out of work. I've already walked the dogs. They're taken care of. I'm like, okay, I have time to watch TV today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's my usual routine.
Yeah. That's how I am. I come home, I watch a little bit of TV. I might take a nap depending on how tired I am from the factory. Then it's family time. I'm helping the kid with the homework, or I'm making. Me and the wife, we take turns. Either I'm making her dinner this night or she is. But then we got to have the family time because you got to have the me time because you need to escape.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have that stuff that's just for you, not for everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's how I treat my weekends. I mean, I have a painting that I've been working on for over a month, but I only spend one day a week working on it. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, that's good enough. I can stand back and every time I look at it, I'm like, okay, I want to do this, work on this. I want to work on that, as opposed to looking at it every single day and just looking at it and thinking,
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't look the way I wanted to. So then I'm just like super focused.
Yep. That's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do that and no,
Yeah.
no, it's like one of those things like painting, you are pissing me off. I need a cigarette break.
Yeah, see that's how I am a lot of times. Like when I first started doing YouTube, and then I just got more relaxed, and because it's like when you try a new thing, you
Mm-hmm.
obsess about it. That's the thing you want to do. Like you want to you already want to make the best product. You want to get as much out as you can, but then you don't want to burn yourself out. And I had that happen to me many times because at first I'm like, well, if I haven't pumped out a video once every 2 or 3 days, people won't watch. Well, now I'm at the point where like, well, I don't feel like doing a video this week. You know what I mean? If people want to watch me, they'll watch me. I've got enough subs. I got the regular people who will watch my stuff. They know I'm still around, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'll go relax with like a Stephen King book or something instead.
I wish I had time to read. I've been I'm stuck on the same book I had in February. I haven't finished it.
It's taken me forever to finish this, and it's like I'm reading Christine right now. I decided I'm going to I'm trying to read all of his stuff in publication order, so
Hmm.
I'll be done in like 50 years because the guy pumps out 3 books a year. But it's just I've been on Christine for I couldn't tell you how many months just because I've got so much going on. But that one time when I can give myself 20 minutes just to sit down and read it, it's great.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's relaxing. I mean, if I were able to, I'd rather just read instead of watch TV. I mean, I it's funny, but it's sometimes I kind of feel bad. Like I'm always glued in front of the TV, and it's like sometimes I'm like I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel sometimes. I sit down, I put my feet up, and I turn on the TV, and I just kind of veg on my phone for a little bit, and then I realize I don't even want to watch TV, and I go do something else. And it's just the routine.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like sometimes it's just background noise. It's kind of like you keep me
Hmm.
company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, Let me see. Oh yeah, the what is this one? They done a movie called Big Game with Samuel Jackson as the U.S. president and a little hunter boy that has to protect him.
I've never heard of that one.
No, that doesn't. It sounds weird.
Big game. Write that one down and look for that one. I always write down anything Marty recommends because they're usually something pretty good or at least something really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I'll agree with that.
Big game.
Same thing with the new Evil Dead movie. Marty said that one was good.
I really liked it. I was really happy with it. I prefer the previous one, the remake where they're at the cabin, but this one was still really good. It's neck and neck between those two.
I haven't seen it. I mean, I've had people say that that first remake, that one was better than the whole lot of the originals, and I'm like, really?
I prefer that, you know, because I think they got a little too slapsticky by Army of Darkness. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but when I think of Evil Dead, I want to have nothing but horror, kind of like the original movie.
I mean, I like the original movie. 2, I kind of, it had to grow on me.
Mm-hmm.
3, I watched it as a kid, not even knowing what Evil Dead was. I just liked it because it was funny.
Mm-hmm. Same here. That's how I the first time I met the ass character, I guess you would say, was Army of Darkness. I had no idea it was the third of a trilogy at the time.
Hmm.
So I was so confused as to what the hell was going on.
Yeah, I mean, once I became more familiar, I'm like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you're one of those Italian things that jumps all over the place and adopts films.
Uh, but yeah, I do recommend Evil Dead Rise. It was really good.
Yeah, I'm hoping it becomes available like on, I mean, I know right now it's, what do you call it, like home theater, but I'm hoping it becomes like available differently. I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
you don't want to spend like $20 on it, you know what I mean? But you'd like to rent it or something, like wait till it comes to Redbox or something like that, and then you can decide. But I really enjoyed it. If you liked the one from 2013, I think you would like this one too.
see, 2013, that the problem I had is like the book, you're spoiling the whole movie. Like the book turns to this page and then it happens, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's like a while before it stops doing that. I mean, I loved the ending with like the blood rain.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the only thing I liked about the movie.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't deny it a rewatch. I would probably feel differently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still have it as part of my collection.
Yeah, I'm kind of a completionist too. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Um, what is this one? Oh, um, let me see. Earlier, Slipknot was saying, "I remember Munchies." LOL. Um, in England, we have chocolate caramel biscuit pieces named Munchies, made by Nestle.
Oh man, I got to give Munchies a rewatch. It's been so long. It was. I always have a smile on my face when I watch that stupid movie.
It's fun.
It
Uh,
is.
I mean, another 420 movie I watched that I don't think people think of too much is Dude, Where's My Car?
That movie is so much fun. It's so self-aware, and what I like is there's no handcuffs. You know what I mean? It's a movie that you're following two dumb stoners trying to find their car, and by the end of it, there are aliens and cult members that wear bubble wrap, and it's just so absurd and just so much fun. And I love the end joke where the car was literally just behind like a van. Gets
See,
me every time.
yeah, I mean, I like that. I mean, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have that giant 50-foot woman reference.
Yep, exactly. That's a movie I grew up with too, so that was cool to see that in the movie.
I still haven't seen that one. I want to.
No, it's good. I mean, it's a product of its time, but it's really good. And then they did a decent remake in the '90s with Daryl Hannah as the 50-foot woman.
Hmm. Yeah, and then you have those spoofs. I think Carmen Electra did one.
Yeah, and then there was like one called like the 50-foot centerfold, and there's so many of them out there.
Hmm.
It's like what movie hasn't been spoofed on by now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it tells you how iconic it was or
Mm-hmm.
is.
Oh yeah, I love that era of movies from the '50s. Like I love the big bug movies. Like I love Tarantula. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. Them with the giant ants is a favorite of mine.
Hmm.
And then even I what was it, about a month or two ago I was watching it was Roger Corman, Attack of the Crab Monsters, that type of stuff.
I've
It's just
seen
so
that.
much fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, I mean, I like to goof with that one. It's like it's not crab monsters, it's crab monsters.
And like you know you're into something when like the biggest leading role was like the guy who played the professor on Gilligan's Island. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it's fun. Again, Roger Corman, he knows what he was doing back then.
Yeah, I mean, he's a smart guy. I
Oh,
mean,
if you're ever bored, just search YouTube for Roger Corman interviews. He is so sharp. Like he's in his 90s now, I think, and he's still super sharp.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're still up, but Scream Factory had a lot of interviews and stuff up, like whenever they streamed like Roger Corman anniversary stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I like about Scream Factory is I order a couple every year because every year they do like a John Carpenter birthday sale, so I'll grab like one or two, and they also do a Roger Corman birthday sale, so that's how I'm slowly growing my collection on Roger stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, I like his double features. Like, it slips me right now, but it's one that he had done with. I think David Hasselhoff was in it. He played a robot, and then Marilyn Monroe, not Marilyn Monroe, Carolyn, the English woman.
Hmm. I
Uh,
don't know about that one.
it slips me, but it was like one of those outer space movies. I need to Google it. I hate it when I brain fart.
Hmm. Yeah, and or I'm also a sucker for stuff that he doesn't direct, but he produces. You know what I mean? One of my favorite cheesy '80 horror movies is Chopping Mall. You know what I mean?
I love that one.
And that even though he didn't direct it, but you know he had his hand in it because you can see it as a Roger Corman film, just with a bigger budget. You know what I mean? And it's so much fun, and it has that Roger Corman feel because the cheesy laser effects. You know what I mean? The sci-fi element. You know, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to Google it. I just hate it when I can't remember stuff. And I mean, it's one of my favorite movies, so it's kind of like, why can't you remember, you doo doo?
Oh, Marty just put it. Star Crash.
Yes, thank
That it
you.
had Christopher Plummer in it as well.
Ah, yes, that one. I love that one.
I think I've seen that one. I might actually have that one.
Yes, Star Crash. Yeah, Star Wars knockoff. I love that one. Yeah, I just hate it when I can't. It seems like I do it more and more these days, and I'm like, I take a lot of stuff to help with memory and brain support. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, he's knocked off Star Wars so many times. There's what was it? Battle Beyond the Stars. That's another one that he did, which with John Saxon. He's in that. That's a fun one.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've seen that one.
It's got some pace. I mean, it's Roger Corman. It's got some pacing issues. He could probably have cut out like probably a half hour of it, but it's a lot of fun. You know, when the action's going on, fun cheesy stuff.
Yeah,
Forbidden World is a really weird one. The one with Sid
I,
Haig and Robert Englund.
I have that one. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, and that one's very interesting. I'll leave it at that.
I
And it's
think
also got Aaron Moran from Happy Days is in it too.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Like one of his discoveries, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was before Happy Days.
Yeah. Let me see. The Void is a horror movie. I wish more people would check out. Um, the Beyond F the thing. They had the three way in the mouth of the madness. Yeah.
Marty's been trying to get me to watch that. You know, it's on my list. I just haven't had a chance to watch it. He's always championing that movie.
For the mouth of madness.
The Void.
I haven't seen it. I was interested in it. I think it was like one of those artsy movies, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember. But yeah, if the Beyond and the Thing, hey, oh god, In the Mouth of Madness is good too. That's got some really cool like Cthulhu monster visuals in it. It's definitely a movie that you have to pay attention to because you know there's so much going on in that movie.
Yeah, it like builds on itself. So if you miss something, it's kind of like, wait a minute, when did this,
Exactly.
how do we get here?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm like, I totally forgot about that one. It's kind of like that. I'm like, I wonder why I had never thought to add that one to my collection.
I think yeah, it's one that's not really discussed a lot because again that's the problem with John Carpenter. Everyone focuses on Halloween so much.
Mhm.
The man is much more than Halloween. The Thing, like Marty said,
I love that one.
that's in like my top two Carpenter films. My favorite is Big Trouble in Little China because that movie is just so much fun. But
Mhm.
you know, Escape from New York is great. You know,
I like that
Christine. Everybody seems to forget about Christine.
one. Hmm.
They Live is fun. You know, it's pretty good. You know, he does much more than just Halloween. And I think In
When
the
it,
Mouth of Madness was like towards the end of his career. I think after that he did Ghost of Mars and he was pretty much done. You know what I mean?
yeah, he took like a long break and then he came back and I think he did like one last movie, which was kind of like so. It was about a girl that was in an asylum.
That's right. It's called The Ward. You're right.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen that one.
It's okay. I mean, I wouldn't say it's worth owning, but if you like John Carpenter, give it a watch.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot just to say I've seen it. You
Hmm.
know, yeah, like I said, a lot of people overlook all of his other stuff just because they're kind of focused, on Halloween and The Thing when he's done so much more.
I mean, you hear John Carpenter, and the first thing I think of is the two movies I don't like, which is Ghost of Mars and Vampires.
And see, I really like vampires. I have a lot of fun with that. I haven't seen Ghost of Mars honestly since theaters. I got
Mhm.
to give that another chance.
Yeah, I saw
The,
that one in theater.
the one I still haven't decided on. Like I like parts of it, but then I dislike parts of it. Is his remake of Village of the Damned with
Mhm.
Christopher Reeve and Kirstie Alley. I like a lot of it, but there's just some of it that I think is kind of boring, and I think that's where he kind of did his career is like peaks and valleys. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
had he
Um,
has a lot because a lot of his movies aren't were not successful until they hit like the home video market. Anyways, people seem to forget that too.
yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about John Carpenter, but yeah, Village of the Dam, it just felt like a direct to video, at least for me.
It does have that feel to it. It really does.
I mean, I'm told the original's a lot better. The kids seem a lot more menacing. I haven't seen it.
That's what it's that era of filmmaking. I want to see that too. Again, a lot of people still say that the best Invasion of the Body Snatchers is the one, the black and white one with Kevin McCarthy too.
Mhm. I've seen that one.
Yeah, I've heard that one is really good. But that's another one that has been remade, God, half a dozen times.
Yeah, I think Nicole Kidman even did a version.
Yeah, she was with Daniel Craig.
Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, I think it was The Invasion is what it was called.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it was so.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've heard it was okay.
there was even a remake of The Honeymoon Killers, which I think was originally kind of like one of those midnight movies, and
Hmm.
Selma Hayek was in it, and I think John Travolta. It was called Lonely Hearts.
Haven't heard of it.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. I'm surprised they remade that. Like it's based on two actual killers.
Okay.
Like the guy would marry women and they would kill the woman for her insurance money, and then they would just move on to the next woman.
Hmm. Okay. I'll look that one up.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like both. I mean, like the second one's just, I mean, you know the story, but it moves differently.
Hmm. Well, that's one thing with a remake. You don't want to make it exactly like the original. You want to make your nods to it, but then you also want to make it your own film as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like Cat People, which I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies. People argue that's not a remake. That's something different, and I'm like, it's still a remake. Be quiet.
Hmm. Yeah. It's loosely based. A remake is a remake or a reboot is a reboot. However you want to word it, it was based off the original.
Yeah, of course. No, I agree with that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen both of those. I mean, since I've never really watched the first one, like the original one, I was kind of like, yeah, it's more like a paranoia thing with the Irene character. So,
That's what
but,
I've heard. Yeah.
but I can see how some of the scenes were recreated and shot, and I'm like, okay, I see the homage. Like, there's the lighting on the brick wall as she's leaving. There's the swimming pool. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, like, how can you not argue it's a remake? Like, it owns itself.
Yeah. That again, like I said, you be your own movie, but still have the little nods to the original. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because you're gonna have you're hoping to bring in that fan base of the original to your movie. You know what I mean? And they want that. I hate the term fan service. You know what I mean? But they want that fan service. They're like, okay, I remember that part from the original. This part is cool. I know what's coming up, type of thing. But then
Mhm.
you don't want to be exactly like the original because why even go see it?
Yeah, I mean, that was my argument against the Evil Dead remake. Kind of like it seems a little too similar in the beginning, and then I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm glad they took the face off of that book, especially because people would be making Facebook jokes, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that book. It's kind of like, why do you keep narking the story? Stop it.
Yeah, quit reading the damn book.
Hmm. But it's like, yeah, I mean that still seemed to have followed the original story, and then finally, once it broke away, when they stopped with the book, it's kind of like, okay, now I can enjoy it, but you annoyed me already.
Right. It's like Rob Zombie's Halloween, which I'm a supporter of. I'm in that minority where I like the first half where we learn about Myers in the asylum. We learn why he is the way he is because it's something different. It explains something, but then the second half of the film is just the first movie. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So we have the differences, and then we have it exactly the same. So
Yeah,
you can bring those two groups in, someone who wanted something different, but then the people that want the original stuff.
yeah.
The movie from the stuff from the original movie. I mean,
I like the remake. I mean, I kind of like how they told that thing about the mask. I mean, like, so
hmm
it would make sense. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I didn't need the origin or that like little backstory, but I appreciate it.
yeah, and I mean that's just how I am. I'm a huge fan of Jason Goes to Hell. You know what I mean? And sure, a lot of people say it's not a Friday the 13th movie, which is fine. But think of it this way: think of look at the Halloween remake. That is technically the ninth movie. You know what I mean? You got to interject a little bit of something different into this franchise. You know what I mean? Try to be different
Hmm.
because now don't get me wrong. Some people they like their. I hate to. I don't want it to sound like bad when I say this, but they like their cookie cutter. Everything's the same movies, which is fine. But by the time we get to part 8, 9, God knows how many movies we have in a franchise, to me personally, it gets stale, and I want that new life injected into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, it's you want something that's different. I mean, that's why it's a remake.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of like the touches where it kind of pays tribute to the original,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want it exactly the same. I mean, I might as well have just not paid the ticket to watch this other one.
Yeah, I'll just go watch the original that I have at home.
Yeah. I'm like, you know what? I enjoyed the popcorn. I liked the candy. That was the best part of the movie.
I know. What's the point? I could go to the gas station and get me some microwave popcorn and a Hershey bar or something.
Mm.
Save money.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just like I said. That's just like how I look into it when it's these long running franchises. You know what I mean? If it's the same old thing, why do I want? Especially the way ticket prices are now. Why do I want to leave the comfort of my home to go watch it? Entice me to get out of the house to see your product.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I used to keep up with all the current films. That was my thing when I was younger. Now that, I mean, as I got older, I developed, a taste for older films. I like,
hmm
I prefer like 70s, 80s. I go into 90s. That's early 2000s is probably early to mid to 2000s is probably the furthest I go. Some 60s, but it's kind of like whatever's new now. I have no idea who the current actors are, like who's hot, who's not, who's
Same
upcoming.
here. Yeah, same here. It's sometimes it's great to branch out, but sometimes it's fun to go back and see where a lot of this stuff started. Like you said, the '60s and '70s, because there's a lot of stuff I wouldn't even think about going back and watching.
Hmm.
That's why I've been watching a lot of the Universal classics from the '30s. You know what I mean, and really enjoying those. After that, I'm gonna go jump into some Hammer horror. You know what I mean, from British stuff from the '60s and '70s.
Love those.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff from Scream Factory, a couple of the Christopher Lee Draculas. I
Mhm.
watched Curse of the Werewolf. Curse of the Werewolf is great.
Oh
I,
yeah.
l- I
Oh,
like I like their Phantom of the Opera. I thought that one was really good.
mhm.
So yeah, sometimes going back to the past is a cool thing.
I mean, that's what I enjoy. I mean, I like I don't know if you would call it vintage or retro, but I mean that's my thing. I mean, I'm horror retrospective. So,
Exactly. See, one thing I like about your channel too is a lot of times you'll put like audio up. Like I remember I found a BBC reading of Pet Cemetery, and it was like a stage play or a radio play,
mhm,
and I found it like 10 years ago, and I saved it in YouTube and this and that, and this is kind of like how I found out about your channel,
mhm.
and eventually that video was obviously deleted before I had the time to listen to it, and you had uploaded that to your channel. I literally just typed in, Pet Cemetery, BBC radio drama, and you had it all uploaded. And it's nothing like the book, and all performances, a lot of stuff has changed, but that's how I found out about you. And that's what I like, is how sometimes you'll just upload that type of stuff, and I can put it out in the background
Yeah.
while just doing dishes or folding laundry and stuff like that, and just escape and listen to it. And it's like listening to an audiobook, you know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I like to do that from time to time. It's been a while. I've had people ask me, "Hey, do you have this one, or can you find this one?" So, I mean, like, I've had someone ask me for the audiobook for Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I don't mind request. Like, if I can find it, sure.
Yeah. And I mean, that's how I am too. I like to talk about like what I want to talk about, but eventually, like I'll do. Hey, like right now, I'm slowly going through like the underworld movies and discussing them because someone wanted me to, and I've got no problem doing that. But sometimes I'm going to just throw up, a random video of some movie, like me. Like I'm in the movie in the middle of doing the underworld series, but me and my wife, we're going to talk about Ghost Ship probably tonight. You know what I mean? Because that's what we want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, absolutely. I'm like, if you're enjoying it, then you have fun, and it's like people watching it have fun too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the way it should go.
Absolutely. And I was, like I said, and you never know who you meet just searching something random out. Like I said, that's how I found your channel. I sub there
Mhm.
because I've been looking for that Pet Cemetery, radio reading for years and
Mhm.
years. And then I just took the chance, and you had it uploaded. And like I said, that's my favorite horror movie. It is my favorite, Stephen King book. I love it so much. And then finding it online, like as a radio drama, which is completely different. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The because I've read the book like twice already. I've seen the movie dozens of times,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's so different, but it still has the same narrative and plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they feel different, but you
Mm-hmm.
still enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, what else did I have on there? I had Return of the Living Dead, American Werewolf in London. So,
Okay.
I mean, I'll probably change them and upload them without audio. I had like background audio, and I'm like, some people are saying, hey, that's annoying. So,
I mean, it is what it is. You're listening to it for free, so
yeah.
that's what I say. I tell people. I said, if you're not paying for it, it's like getting going to like a lesser extent, going to like a food pantry, and you're not liking what it is you get in the box. Well, you got it for free. You know what I mean? Just enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just move on with newer stuff. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
like the BBC stuff. Um, yeah, my only thing is I usually have those on, what do you call it? Not the previewing, but see, there I go again. It's just,
It's okay. I put you on the spot. Don't worry about it.
no, no, it's all right. I mean, Premiere. I mean, I usually have those playing while I'm at work, and it's like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, my only concern is it's like, okay, well, I'm not there to watch if somebody decides to,
Talk
be,
to you.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I trust me. I get that. I get that. I every once in a while I'll have like one of my longer videos. Like I used to do a podcast. I would upload those as a premiere
Mhm.
if I knew I had time to be in the chat, because sometimes nobody's in the chat. Sometimes I get 4 or 5 people,
Mhm.
and I want to be around, but it's tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just upload them because I know, it's like, some people just like to listen, and I'm like, okay. I mean,
Hmm.
when it was slower at work, I could actually be in the chat and respond. It's like now it's just super busy all the time. It's kind of like, nah, I just,
Exactly. Yep. Totally
but
get it.
yeah. Um, Let me see. But yeah, I'm usually on for about 2 hours. I mean, unless you want to keep chatting, or we can just go ahead and jump off.
No, we can end it. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
This was fun. I'm glad you had me on. It was nice getting to know you a little bit better too.
No, absolutely. I'm glad you said yes.
Oh, I am, if my schedule allows it, and like my schedule is very very busy. That's like when we were DMing each other on Twitter. I said, as long as you give me like a couple weeks notice, I can put time aside for it. But I'm always down to just for, like I call it, water cooler talk, just to discuss movies or
Mhm.
anything in general. You know what I mean? It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're interested, I mean, I'd love to have you back.
Oh, absolutely. I will. If you can, if you find a subject you want me to join in and discuss, let me know. I'm all for it. I'd love to be back.
Okay. I mean, unless there's a movie you're interested in, I'm flexible. It introduces me to a film I've probably never seen.
Okay, I'll do some research and I'll think of something too.
I mean, either or. I mean, I'm flexible. I mean, I can find one, or if there's one that you want to do.
Okay, absolutely, no problem. I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, I would love to get back together and just shoot the shit. It's always
All right,
fun.
awesome. So once again, let me see if we have anybody in the chat that hasn't met Eric. His information's in the description box, so you can follow his YouTube, or his socials are also there in the social media, and you can check him out.
Much appreciated.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I enjoy you stopping by and having a chat with us. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, and it was a lot of fun, and I did enjoy how we did talk about Cocaine Bear. But what I love about these type of live chats, especially like today's, we can go off on tangents. We're not just kind of stuck talking about one subject, because it was fun just discussing movies. We did a little bit on cancel culture. We talked about so many things, and it was really cool, really fun.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm, I'm, I enjoy the casual chat, and that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like I'm casual around here. It's not like, oh, we have to stay on topic.
Exactly. I mean, because that's how you talk about stuff with your friends. You're going to get distracted. One thing will make you think of another thing, and you'll totally forget that you were talking about the initial subject. And that makes it more real for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, let it just flow. It's normal conversation. I mean, like I said, it's not like a structured show that I do here. I'm just being me.
Yep. That's all you should be.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, thanks for stopping by and, giving us some time out of your day and stopping by and having a chat with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Seriously. 100% mean that.
Okay. Let me see. And then for everybody else, since, let me see, Memorial Day holiday weekend, let me see, I'll go ahead and do a random live stream on Monday. I just have a few announcements, and we can just do a random chit chat then also. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys for today. And we will talk to you later.
Cheers. It was fun.
All right. Thank you.